So, Team Mog.
Yeah, Team Mog, go.
And that's Final Fantasy 13 done by Kaya Rune.
Yep. We still got a bit more here. So
So
Olsen's doing Bart 1 right now. Sorry, Bart 3. I really hope he's not doing Bart 1 at this point.
I'll see on Behemoth King, but we will let the Crystal Chronicles guys introduce themselves.
Wait, was that actually a sub 5 run?
Yes.
Good job.
Hi,
Alright.
what the?
Sub 5 while sitting around for 19 minutes.
Jeez. Anyways, so yeah, Olsen's Bart's looking pretty good. Got a nice high chain, dealing damage. Without the break, it would have been sub 440, which would have been at least a second place run on the leaderboard.
It would have been sub-lewd in any case.
Yep, so now we have little Tombi for Team Mog doing Crystal Chronicles.
Alright. Oh. Hi, my name is Silly Pirate. And other guys?
Hello, I'm Boss Hoger.
Kill the Orcas.
We're gonna be
We all run this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna be commentating for you for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Starting now in your upper left-hand corner is Little Tanbi. He will be our runner from Japan, and going to be following him in just a few minutes is going to be Manaclaw in the bottom left-hand corner for Team Chocobo, and then in a little while we'll have Fairy Sydney join us up in the top right-hand corner on Team Tonberry.
Yeah, the big news for this run this year is that it's the first year we're able to include the remastered version of this game, which came out within the past year on just about every system they could slap it on. It's on iOS and Android. Right, it's on Xbox, but you can play it on your iPhone. Yeah, it's on iOS and Android. It's on PS4 and PS5 and Switch. I think that's it, right?
Yes, and it's actually slower than the original version of this game due to load times. So y'all get even more Crystal Chronicles than you got last year. Yay!
Imagine not being able to run a GameCube game.
But also, this year, one big difference is that each of our runners will be running one of the different tribes. Every tribe has different starting stats, different weapons, different ways they do things. So each runner will be doing a marginally different route from the other one. The only race not represented is going to be Uke, as they are the magic casters, and in an any percent run, by far slower than the other races.
I think you're losing like at least half an hour to 40 minutes by playing Uke.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere around that.
Yeah, we can, guys, for the Final Fantasy 13. If you all want to be talking about these fights, you can. We have plenty of time to hash this out later.
In the first
So there's the solid
here by Olsen.
Yep. So yeah, Olsen got a rather early poison, which is nice. Vanille can kind of troll you here a lot by deciding to not land anything until you're at 999% chain, and then you just kind of run out of stagger, which can make things really awkward. And
Also, we have Ozzy doing Malevolence PC1, so this one's a little bit...
That's an old one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a different cadence to the fight. It's only a couple seconds slower, because the end point of the fight is still the same. Once you stagger, nothing really changes at that point. You still have to kill within that one stagger. The setup is a bit different. It's got different chaining timings to it. Different refreshes that you hit. So this was the old default strat. I think it was changed about a year ago, I want to say.
Yeah. The PC one has gone through so many strat revisions. Like, it's hard to keep up. I always like to say that there's 87 different PC1 strategies. 84 of them are good, 2 of them are locked.
no.
Oh.
He didn't get the kill, and even though he was close, the problem is that PC1 was going to heal up like 60% of his hit points and then start an attack that would kill. So
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
but
I think
we have
Olsen
to
got a
kill
sub
in that
three
stagger.
on Orphan 1.
yeah, Orphan 1 was fine.
Yeah.
It was Oxy I was knowing about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if any of the people watching enjoyed these runs and want to see more of it, everyone streams pretty regularly. Check the command in chat. Kaya, I know, has been running this like almost every single day.
It's a job to him now.
Yeah, like it's a lot of fun, and if anybody wants to learn the route or run or just even some of the other categories, highly recommend you join the Discord. We're all, I mean, in my not so humble opinion, we're all great people.
Oh, what?
And and you know, if anybody wants to learn, everyone's more than willing to help out. So Team Choco should get ready. It's going to be about like 20-30 seconds.
Yeah, Orphan 2 in stagger here. Thunder Aurora in order to drive the chain up.
Just waiting for Vanille to land in peril. Come on, Vanille.
For sure, we do Thunder Aurora here, but not against
I mean, Kaya did Cold Blood.
Yeah.
Like, Cold Blood is technically a bit more damage, but it's a bit riskier because you're locked in to it, so if you need an emergency heal, you can't.
So a few more hits on Orphan 2.
Yep. And
looking for results.
Team Choco go.
Yep. So that is
GG Olsen. And there we go. Aussie beat PC1. Easy. First time, easy. Never didn't have it.
Congratulations.
No, PC didn't win. PC lost.
it was first try, second try.
He said PC won. No, he lost. I'm kidding.
Yeah, now we
So we got a bit of time for Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of downtime. We'll hang around in case there's anything that needs to be said for Aussies, but feel free to go.
Sounds good.
All right.
You know, someone in chat asked if there's why we're playing all different tribes. It's actually preference. Little Tomby actually enjoys playing Clavet. Sydney plays Selkie, and Manaclaw actually enjoys playing Lilty the most. So it actually all works out. Works for the show, and everyone gets to play their favorite.
If you saw just a moment ago, little Tomby made a small detour to kill an extra goblin. Typically, only the Clavats will do that, as the Clavats have the lowest starting strength of these three races, so they need a little bit more meat to get over the next damage threshold. In Crystal Chronicles, how the stats work is they're all kind of divisible by 5, sort of. So, you know, a 20 strength does the exact same amount of damage as a 24 strength. You don't actually start dealing more damage until you hit 25, and then 30, and so on. So eating meat in the game increases your strength by 2 points. So it allows you to break those damage thresholds.
Sometimes it's relevant and sometimes it's not, and it's like one of those nuanced things you just need to always be aware of throughout the run. Like, what's my strength at? So that you know, is it worth quickly menuing to eat a meat in order to optimize my fight or whatever.
But because Lilty and Selkie are able to hit the 25 threshold at the beginning by eating meat, unfortunately Clavet does not. So you're going to see Tommy be casting fire throughout, because he can't actually hit the 25 threshold. Fire actually does more damage until he hits the next dungeon, I think, when he can actually hit 25 damage.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only time in the entire run of any three of them that you will see them offensively using magic to do anything that's not just like, oh, you have to use fire to get through this obstacle sort of thing. The general gist of this game, like the speedrun that is, the overall goal that we pretty much aim for is we want to have a certain amount of strength by the time we're fighting the last boss in order to just be able to save a lot of time by getting faster cycles and whatnot. And that's, keeping in consideration the potential to be able to buff that strength stat by 2 with the meat. So all the routing, all the selections of which artifacts they keep and which dungeons they go to and stuff like that is pretty much built around optimizing getting as much strength as possible as quickly as possible.
Yes. Oh, and one other thing to note with Tonbi's character selection, he chose a Melclavat, which is actually important because Melclavats actually have the fastest attack animation in the game by 4 frames. All the other races and genders are equal on their auto attack chain, except for the Melclavat. So, very, very small optimization there for that.
Yeah, I actually remember this little trivia from learning about the tasks that's been done on this. Tasks, I should say. I'm pretty sure, isn't casting magic actually a faster animation than attacking? It's just the fact that in this game, unlike, weapons or a general Final Fantasy game where you would typically just learn spells, like you hit level 6, you learned fire, and now you just know fire. Well, in Crystal Chronicles, you don't permanently learn spells. Every time you enter a dungeon, you have to find a item within that dungeon that allows you to cast that spell. And then once you leave that dungeon, you don't have that item that lets you cast the magic anymore. So the biggest hindrance to why using magic is not as fast is that you have to seek it out in every dungeon.
Right. That is true, with the small exception of there are artifacts to choose at the end of certain dungeons that will give you those spells permanently, but you don't even get access to that until close to the end of the second year. So,
we see an encounter from Lil Tombi. Encounters are going to be random encounters, I guess, through the game. Random cutscenes that show up whenever you're traveling through the mini-map. You want to see as the least of them as possible. They waste time. Some of them can range from, I think that one was around 30-ish seconds, maybe a bit less. Some of them are like 2 minutes long. So you don't want to see those.
Yeah. Crystal Chronicles, the game where you can randomly lose time just by walking.
Honestly. So if you see on Tommy's screen, he changed our chalice to water. That's one of the mechanics in the game. In order to pass to the next area, you're going to need to change your chalice element, as they call it in this game. Here he changes it to water because this threshold, what we call the miasma stream, requires you to have a water element in order to pass to the next one. So he's going to go here and then be able to go to the next place, which is Mushroom Forest.
Yeah, and the barriers, these miasma streams that are different elements about them, they are on a set pattern from the time the game starts. Like every new file, it starts out the same. And after the end of each year, when I say they're on a set pattern, I mean like the first one is water, the second one is fire or whatever.
Too much right here, but Mena is doing some very, very careful button mashing right here, because you can accidentally send yourself into the tutorial right here and just ruin a lot of your time.
There he goes. He gets
and he skipped it. No tutorial.
He's so good. It's frame perfect.
Woo! Can we get some GGs for Mena in chat for skipping that tutorial? Woo! Good job, Mena.
Thank you for pointing that out. Oh, that also draws my attention to something I wanted to mention.
Oh no,
Tombi was doing his.
Yeah, so this is one of the long cutscenes. This one's a minute, a bit longer. You see those two people from Luda.
Whenever you see this random encounter in year 1 is when you throw your controller on the ground and start over because the game hates you.
Yeah, this is the third worst encounter you can get in the game.
All right. While Tommy sits here, we're going to see Mana Claw go into Riverbell Path. You're going to see a little bit different pathing here if you paid attention. More importantly.
Now, because of the amount of money they each need is also different. Mana needs all his money, or for the most part, near the beginning. So Mana will be killing a lot of just random mobs to get a lot of more money at the beginning, so he can get his weapon and go, because he doesn't have to get the second weapon that the other races are going to be getting. So he'll front load all his money now and then just rush to the end.
So I don't think Tombi actually killed this goblin. This goblin drops a strength artifact. Throughout every dungeon, you're gonna have drops that are artifacts that you can pick up at the end of the game. Mana goes for this one here because he doesn't want the base drop, which is a shuriken. Oh, well, we got it anyways. You can get some other things there, like a green beret or a double axe, both of which give strength +1. But you want to pick those up because you can't pick up the same artifact later on.
Yeah, the stats in this game are actually, a bit more random than, or more of an issue in general than the way most games work, because the way your stat increases are tied to these unique artifact items that you collect. Sometimes if you don't, if you get unlucky, when you get to the end of a dungeon and it's time to select your artifact reward, all that will be available to you are artifacts that you've already collected on that run, and so that reduces the overall strength you end up with, because you can only have one of each type of artifact, and so you want a variety. Ideally in every single dungeon you go, you get more strength, but that doesn't always work out.
Did you guys catch what Tommy got on his first hedgehog drop? I know he didn't get anything on the second. He might be a little bit low on money entering the next place.
Oh, that's a good thing to talk about. Yeah, so Mushroom Forest, where Lil Tomby is right now, is the year 1 dungeon where that is just like chock full of money for us. There's 3 different hedgehog pies that can drop either a chunk of silver or a chunk of gold. Either one of those items sells for 125 gil, which is like 5 times as much gil as the next best item you can get. Well, except for chunk of bronze, right? As you see right there on the right side of the screen. That's the other good thing you can get to sell. But the main objective here is we're killing a bunch of stuff in Mushroom Forest with the goal of being able to immediately after this dungeon have enough gil to buy the materials and pay the crafting costs we need to get the warrior's weapon, which is going to be just way better than the starting weapon that all of our runners have.
Yep.
So if any of these runners don't get enough of the drops to get enough money they need, they will most likely immediately re-enter Mushroom Forest and just go kill 1 or 2 quick things to get the money they need and then dip back out, which loses you like a minute or so, but you need Warrior's Weapon.
That is a marathon strat only. Outside of marathon, you would not be doing that.
Yeah, if you're trying to go
resetting
for like for a top leaderboard time, you would probably just reset if you don't get the money in Mushroom Forest.
The major differences between Switch and PS4, someone asked that in chat, PS4 is going to be a little bit slower with a new patch coming out. The Switch lags in some dungeons, unlike the PS4 though. You'll see in Mushroom Forest, Mana's Claw's running on Switch, so his game might lag at one specific part if you look out for it. Otherwise, not big differences. They're pretty comparable. Unlike PS5, if you can somehow get your hands on one, PS5 is going to be a lot faster loads, no lag.
Yes.
It saves a whole bunch of time overall. And mobile, but mobile kind of fun.
Mobile's not really cool. Now the encounter right here is mandatory. You will always get that encounter that Mana just got. However, unfortunately for little Tonby, is he was unable to get a strength artifact just now because he already had the strength artifact that was rewarded at the end of the level, and he also already had the strength artifact that was picked up in the stage too. So
for that to happen, like every single thing has to go wrong.
Yeah, that was really bad luck for little Tomby there.
Is Aussie starting the boss for Final Fantasy 13?
No, not yet. He's
Okay.
the menu
Feel free
set
to
up for it.
go whenever.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the main threshold. This is a reset point for Tommy right now. He needs to reach 850 gil in order to be able to buy everything and make his first warrior's weapon. So he's gonna sell 3 bronze, some other stuff, and then let's see, 8. So
he barely made it.
855. What a pro!
Yeah. So he's gonna buy 1 alloy, 1 warrior's weapon craft, and he's gonna craft his warrior's weapon, which is gonna get him to the next part of the game with more strength, so he can actually play the game faster.
walking out of there with a nickel in his pocket feels good. And know what's great about that is there is one item you get to pick up, just like a secret hidden item in that little village there, which he sells. I think it's up like 25.
Mana Claw just got hit by the bandits. They might usually the first time they appear, they usually don't take something, but they could take an item from him. And hopefully it's not a big one he's trying to sell.
Yeah,
Starting PC2 now. Aussie on Team Tomberry.
He's just lost a potato, so that's only about 10 gil down.
I wonder if Aussie is actually going to do Maelstrom Skip.
Oh, that would be really cool. Cause I mean, he's not doing magnums, right? So it's harder.
Yeah.
To do that. But so one thing that we haven't actually mentioned is there is additional RNG in this fight. Snow has a 50% chance to launch on each of the attacks that he does. If Snow doesn't launch, that's really bad. Which is, there is a chance for him to not launch. Really unlucky. However, one additional artifact of using Cold Blood is that enemies can't be launched while Cold Blood is happening. And so if you mistime your shifts, so that Snow's trying to launch while Cold Blood is still happening, it's actually going to eat into the launch chances, and you have a lesser likelihood of actually being able to launch and therefore, survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a timing thing.
Yeah.
I'll see you in immediate Maelstrom, so that's going to work out nicely for him.
Yeah, this looks like it should be nice, assuming everything else goes as expected.
Press launch.
There can also be
mana, that's good.
Yeah, there can also be some very awkward things where you want Snow to launch, but instead he just kind of jumps and punches instead of launching, so you've got downtime between the strings, and it can be... Oh, there's a failed launch. Alright, so if we can keep interrupted, and yep, there's Snow doing that. I should really stop saying everything that should go wrong.
Titan.
Well, that's all right because a lot
Okay,
more
it's fine.
blitz
It's fine.
is
Everything's
happening.
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. Didn't even need the stagger extend.
Yeah, there's up and downs to not having a launch. If he's not launched, then a lot more blitz bullets will hit PC2, but you really do just want the launch just because it's peace on mind, really.
It's so much safer. If the characters weren't lined up the way that they were there, then PC2 could have gotten an attack off, and I think the count was at 5 or 6 already. So then it got aerial defense mode, and it's just really bad from there on out. Alright, so we've got a bunch more time before we'll probably chime in next when part 3 is happening.
Sounds good.
Okay, yeah, Ozzy's not getting the third ESEP.
Luckily,
Okay.
Mana Claw got 2 gold drops, 1
Yes,
silver drop.
he
He
got-
is rich.
Yes, he is. He's probably good on gold for the rest of the run now.
Yes, sir.
With everything he also grabbed in River Bell. Yeah, you almost couldn't ask for better RNG on that.
You really
for mana.
could.
I mean, 2 gold and 1 silver, you literally cannot ask for better RNG because they're equal in value. There's 3 opportunities and he got 3, so...
That's true, yeah.
Sure. So on Tomby's side, he picked up a fish earlier. That's gonna get him to 35 strength, I think, for him. So that's gonna get him to the next damage. You're gonna see that's the Orc King he's fighting up against. He's got one move that you really want him to spam, which is the orange one where he throws on an orange hitbox, charges up a little bit, and then he throws his axe down. That's the one you want to see, but you don't get to see it often when you're playing as Clavet or Lilty, because you're so in his face, he does the other 2 attacks instead. When Cindy's playing, you're going to see the Selkie has a strat where you just stand back, charge your focus attack, and you can just dodge everything. It's a super easy fight for Selkie, but really scary for Clavet and Lilty.
Now, right there, when the Orc King put that little bubble around him, that is a timed self-destruct. If you don't kill him fast enough, he will blow up and take you out. However, this is a speed run. If you don't kill him fast enough, are you really doing a speed run at this point?
You can run to the corner, but speed run.
Right.
Yeah, I actually learned that recently because I was just playing when I was playing the remaster for the first few times and just kind of messing around, learning stuff. When he's does the self-destruct. If you just go to the other side of the room, it won't kill you, and then he just turns into this like totally charred black version of himself, and you go and just like poke him and he dies. But if you're standing anywhere near him, you'll probably die.
Yep. Oh, and again, a no strength
Really
artifact
bad luck,
available.
I think, for Tombi.
Yeah.
Unless this is part of his master plan, which it could be. He is getting meat now.
He did grab a defensive artifact right there.
Yeah.
So that I think for Clavat that will push him one up on defense threshold because Clavats have the highest starting defense. And so now he'll take less damage, and he also has his 5th heart already. So he is super tanky and can probably brush off a lot more attacks and play more dangerously for the rest of the game. So there is that benefit, but he is going to be slower in the damage he does.
$1,170 gil in Mars.
Well, the loyalty route actually needs a lot less money, so he's definitely chilling for the rest of the game. Every year, you can see Tombi now. He's talking to his father. We pick Rancher because the Rancher gives you meat. When you talk to your father, he gives you some money. He also gives you some meat. You know, like when you're heading off to college or something, they give you food and money. He's heading off to a new adventure. He gets the meat so he can get more strength, and the money also helps him be able to hit his money needs.
Right. Not to mention, I don't think we mentioned this, but the meat also heals you. That's how they heal themselves throughout the fight. Very important thing that we failed to mention.
Did we explain the Rancher family?
We just did.
Yeah. It's also closer. You're good.
I was reading chat. Sorry, you literally just said that. That's funny.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can also pick Fisher, but Fisher is like on the other side of the port.
Yeah.
Or is on the other side of the village, so you just pick Rancher usually. Unless you're funny.
Right. So yeah, the reason you pick Rancher is because Rancher drops meat. Meat gives you strength to make you stronger, kill things faster. Pick Rancher.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. It's one of those things where you're like, you almost feel like they designed it with speedrunners in mind, because out of the 8 choices, the family we want is to meet like immediately on our way out of the town and gives us infinite health. It's kind of like, well, that's infinite health.
I mean, and even in the glitched version on GameCube and for Uke runs, you pick Merchant, which is also right on your way out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ozzy now on Bandersnatch and Jabberwocky. He's got Imperil, he's got the Stagger, going into the Summon now. So, Bandersnatch is easily dealt with. We'll see if Jabberwock's playing nice though. Like, there's a lot that Jabberwocky can do in order to sort of try and kill you. If he swipes Vanille, then things can immediately get very scary, because we do not have any TP for Renew. And in terms of medic, we only have Tireless, which doesn't get us that close. It doesn't get us closer to Stagger in any way.
Our HP is calculated like, so we just barely can survive 2 stomps if they're not both max rolls. So it can be kind of risky.
Snow's been taking all of the damage, so this is gonna go alright. This is gonna be perfectly fine.
Coming up for oh, sorry.
Just using poison at the end just to keep him interrupted.
I was gonna say, what you see Tombi in right here is one of the more difficult / tricky, frustrating parts of the game. We have to kill the biggest goblin here because he drops the key we need to open the door, but as you see, there's a huge throng of enemies trying to slow us down and be annoying. So if you're really, really, really awesome, you can just run in there and kill him and get it, open the door, and this was a really smooth fight. In this game, just the way the combat works and the way the enemies' attacks sync up with each other and they have their like attack cycles or whatever, the worst thing that can happen to you is to be surrounded by enemies that are all attacking at different times. And sometimes that can happen in this room, and it can just get really bad. You can lose like a minute.
Later on, you can also like get stun locked just by the enemies hitting you at random times.
Those electric flying jellyfish enemies, I don't know what they're called, I'm sorry.
Jellyfish, actually.
Really annoying. Are they called jellyfish?
Yep.
Not the most creative with the naming schemes. You'll find an enemy later called Sphere. because it's a big sphere.
Yeah, and then this boss that Tombi is about to fight is one of the trollier bosses in the game. The Goblin King has a spell called Teleport, and it's his favorite one to cast. We'll see how many teleports Tombi has to put up with here. None so far. Why did I say that?
Here it is. Oh! So this is going to be the first split for Timo. We're going to have several different splits. But because the routes differ so greatly, you're going to see kind of a different, kind of a big gap between the different splits, despite being a shorter game.
Wow, 0 teleports. Yeah. Congrats, Tombi. Does he know something we don't? Is there... Is that manipulation?
I mean, I guess you just have to know how far to run away, and I guess it works out. If you stand far away, the Goblin King tends to cast a spell, one of the many spells he has. If you're close by, though, he likes to either teleport or hit you with his little staff. Even if you're far away, he can teleport as well. So, really annoying boss. Sometimes he teleports, you walk over there, and then he teleports to the other side.
Now loading. That's the actual name of this game.
Yeah, now loading. Man is going to finish his first year up, and he's going to be following the same route. The routes are going to tend to differ on year 3.
3, yes.
When you see everyone tend to go to just different places. The perks of a Loyalty is that, I guess, you tend to stick on the warrior's weapon, so you actually don't need to pick up Mithril from 2 different dungeons that Lil Tombi and Very City, the Clavet and the Selkie, are going to be picking.
Did anyone notice, did Tombi get Master's Weapon? Or is he going to try to get it
I did
later?
not check, but either he got it first try, or he skipped it, because he did not reset. In that dungeon, Goblin Wall, there's an item that drops. It's a random drop, a 25% drop called a Master's Weapon. And usually you want to reset for it, or you can pick it up in different places.
Just to specify, it's a plan to craft a Master's Weapon, not... You don't immediately get the weapon.
But I have also heard Lil Tombi is testing out, or not testing out, but he's got some strats up his sleeve. I know that much. So either he didn't get it, or either he got it, or he's he knows his backups.
I see a thumbs up in chat from Little Tombi. Maybe that means
oh no.
Weapon.
Yeah, so in the OG version, the GameCube version, one of the fastest way to play the game is actually on Japanese. So when you're playing the original, any percent, you do need to learn some Japanese. There is a part at the end where you have to answer some questions that are entirely going to be in Japanese.
But
yeah,
in this
so
version, the English players...
Sorry, I want to point this out. Manaclaw is actually going out of the typical path in this dungeon to go unlock the gate and open this chest, which has a strength artifact in it. Green Beret, what up? So that was... I don't think he had a Green Beret already.
No,
so
he got Shuriken and something else, I think.
Yeah, so that...
Double Axe, I think.
Manaclaw is very happy about that. He took a little detour and it paid off. And it only had a 50 or 25% chance to pay off, but it did, so that's good.
I think that was Tombi's, third encounter? Yeah, I think that was his third encounter. He got the thief one. Super unlucky so far.
So,
Tombi changing his element to water so he can make it past the next miasma stream. Go ahead, 13.
Yeah, Aussie's Tiamat fight getting a little bit risky there. Tiamat doing the focused lasers on Saz.
Oh yeah, that's really not good.
Yeah, it went down to
it should be fine from here. Be fine. It got the poison rather early too, so that's gonna rack up a lot of damage.
Yeah,
Tiamat's gonna take it that
decide to kill you if it really wishes to.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't do anything about it. It's like the match just says no. So we're about to hit the final boss rush for Aussie.
Go, Aussie!
Woo!
You got it.
Considering all that's happened in this run, this still isn't a bad run.
Yeah, honestly.
So the dungeon that Tanbi is entering here is called Tita Village, and this is a kind of the designer's way to show you a sad story about what happens to a village in this world where the caravan, which is what our heroes in this game are, the Crystal Caravan, each village has one, and those are the adventurers that go out into the world and do all these things to get the crystals that they need, myrrh, thank you, to protect their village from the miasma and all that. So the village that Tombi is in right now is one where the caravan never came back. They went out on their great adventure and were just defeated or lost or whatever. And so eventually the village was overrun by monsters and creepy, crawly things. So that's where we're at here.
So I do want to highlight one of the thing with Mana's weapon, the warrior's weapon for Lilty. It actually has 2 hitboxes on it, and you want to get the one that's right in the center. So you're gonna see him when he's charging up his focus attack. He's gonna try to line up, well, not line up, but you're trying to get the whole monster within the entire circle. That way you do more damage.
Also getting all the debuffs on Bart free, Vanille being very fortunate.
Yeah,
for,
we've actually had like really good debuff luck kind of throughout the whole
Yeah.
run so far, which is nice. Vanille can really decide to just ruin your whole day, and there's not a lot you can do.
That was a fairly tame Ultima too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is looking decent.
Ultima, by the way, is a super high variance attack. It can do very little damage, or it can do most of your HP damage.
Yeah, isn't it 94% variance?
I don't remember the number.
It's a large
Yeah,
amount.
It's at least 54.
It's over 90, I know that part.
Yeah, as long as it targets Ultima, we have just enough HP that everybody should survive. As long as it targets Snow, we should always have just enough HP to be able to survive because of Fringe Ward, but it can be really close. This actually isn't going to kill and stagger, because the debuffs were actually a bit too early. So we didn't.
Ultima.
Oh, and the Snow died. Ooh. All right. Well, this.
Wait. Did the Ultima canceled because it hit Snow and Snow died?
I think it was targeting Snow, but Snow had died to something, so it just didn't go off.
Didn't go off. What?
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Wow.
Is this is the new meta, and you're seeing it first, folks?
He doesn't have deep protect. There we go. Right.
So that
should have
happened.
never worked.
Yeah.
That was.
That's never happened before.
Yeah, so
literally, I don't think that's ever happened before.
So here's what happened. Ultima actually has 2 hits. The first is a pretty low hit, and the second is the pretty big hit. And it looks like the first pretty low hit killed Snow. It was targeting Snow, and it killed Snow. And because it killed Snow, the rest of the attack canceled?
Yeah, I guess.
Nevertheless, Aussie's on Orphan 1, so.
Yeah, Orphan 1. Now we gotta do more slap cadences stuff, and we gotta to have this fantastic rhythm throughout. This strat is so satisfying, like honestly. Oh, and he's going for end water strats.
Water strats!
I know Kaya did in Frost on Saz and then Thunder on Snow, and that annoyed me.
Yeah, I wondered how he did that too. What was even?
Yeah, the end spell that you choose here does not matter
because Thunder on Saz too. Oh my God, we had. Oh, I guess we didn't have in fire on someone.
Yeah.
Right.
The end spell that you do does not matter. Usually people do end thunder because it's the fastest inputs, but if your inputs are fast enough, you can pick whichever one you want.
I guess in a way, Aussie is maxing out Rav damage by doing Thunder on Saz and Water on Earth.
Oh yeah. Although it doesn't really matter when your strength isn't set up. Bird of magic.
And also just scrolling for all the paradigms throughout the cold blood.
Yeah. got a very early 3 debuffs on, so that's good. That's gonna equal a lot of damage. The earlier that you can switch over to the tireless charge here, the better, because you just trigger the next phase a lot easier. Oh, Vanille's dead. That was fast.
That's
Regeneratorial Wrath, everyone!
That's 2 Wraths that worked.
Yeah. Usually if you're in second phase, it's not worth reviving Vanille anymore. But in first phase, since that early, you really should in case of another one. And just like stuff happening. Yeah. We use the second elixir here, by the way.
And you saw it when I think it was Kaya doing Orphan 1. The elixir did not heal Vanille when she was dead.
Yep.
That is, again, the only downside of the elixir is that it will not revive dead party members. But it does full heal, it gives you all your TP back, it allows us to double summon Orphan.
Yeah, which is huge, honestly, the fact that we can use the summon twice.
Yeah.
The old strat didn't use a summon, it tanked the Merciless Judgment and then used a renew there to heal.
Yeah, it Libra scoped while shifting into consolidation or protection, and then you would do Quake Renew.
Yeah, but it's significantly slower than just doing this because you don't have to spend as much time healing. So that was a really good fight there.
So,
And we're almost done. It's going to be about minute 20 or so for Tonberry. Also, yes, if you die to Orphan 2, you have to skip all 6 cutscenes again.
Yeah. And I think you also have to close the menu.
Yep, you do. You do. It's not great. Don't die to Orphan 2 if you can avoid it.
Yeah. Also, you don't get any CP from Bart 3 or from 1, so you can't just do more development that way.
Yeah.
Pretty much, if you beat Bart 3, you're locked into the final boss rush unless you quit the
Reload
game.
a save. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one thing that we didn't mention before is Orphan 2 has several different attacks, one of which is a slap. The slap will knock up your team, or launch your team up into the air. But we've managed to figure out a timing that's very precise that we can just stagger cancel the slap. So we don't get launched into the air. We don't have to worry about dying. It actually made this fight a lot safer than it used to be.
A lot of it came from switching up the beginning. Like we switched the blitz out for an attack, and not only does that just be faster in general, it also allows us to get the first haste off. Just ignoring.
And Tonberry go.
Yeah, it just allows to get the first haste off without being interrupted by the doom, and it just makes everything else a lot more nicer. But that is it for Final Fantasy 13. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. This was a lot of fun. I hope that everybody enjoyed this.
Good luck, everybody, in the Crystal Chronicles Remastered.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yep. See ya.
See you guys.
Yeah. GG's.
GG.
So I think we can probably just wait until Mana gets to Via Loose Loose to explain all the funness of that dungeon at this point, since Tomby's pretty much through it already.
Yeah. But I do want to highlight...
maybe we could... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So in Tita, there's a part you saw on both of them where you have to cast fire. It's a little bit of a time save for Clavid versus Lilty. Lilty's, although they have stronger or they have more strength, they actually have the slowest magic casting time. So
and the lowest magic stat.
Yeah. So it takes them a long time to be able to cast that fire to be able to pass through the dungeon. Plus, Clav, on the other hand, pretty quick, second fastest, goes pretty quickly.
I got Twisted Headband picked up. by Mana Claw there.
Yeah.
Building up his strength.
Yeah, so would either of you like to talk a little bit about the Selkie race, since Barry Sydney's about to get started with our third race being introduced to this marathon or relay?
Yeah, I can. So,
Go for it.
so Selkie is, of course, the race that Sydney is running. It is the most commonly run race for Crystal Chronicles. They have the best focus attack for the Master's Weapon, which is the strongest weapon that you tend to get. And they also have the fastest focus attack charge. So they're able to charge up their focus attack faster and get that out. Along with, they have one of the more useful defensive techniques. A Selkie will do a backflip during which they get invincibility frames and can avoid any attack if you time it right. The Lil T and the Clavat have a block with the Lil T's block being worse than the Clavat's, and they can usually block any small to medium attack in front of them, but anything from the side or behind they'll still get hit. And of course, big enough attacks will just go through.
So you're gonna see Mana's gonna skip Masha Manor. There's 3 dungeons we don't do in this in any percent. We skip Masha Manor because the doors to open the doors on the ground, there's gonna be like random panels. You have to step on your tribe's symbol in order to open the door. It's really slow. There's like 7 of them we got into. 14 because you got to get out too. So it ends up being really slow. And then Kona Kurash, however you pronounce it, that one's also pretty slow overall. And then Rebina Terra, those Kona Kurash and Rebina Terra, those 2 are going to be like the quote-unquote final hard dungeons. We skip those because we don't need to do those. They're slow, they're hard, just not fun.
There'll be another dungeon later on that we only enter for a little bit, but we end up leaving and don't complete it, and we will explain that when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the dungeon you see Mana Claw entering right now on Team Chocobo is it's called Violus Sluice. This is a very significant dungeon in this game, both for the speedrun and for the lore. So essentially, this is kind of an elevated place, and there's all this water like collected up here. That long ago in the past, there's this like story it tells you about it. Like the Ukes cooperated with maybe the Lil T's, I don't remember, to like build this thing, and it was supposed to represent like an oncoming age of peace and all that. But the reason it's important to us is that later on in the game, in around year 5, we have to come back here because these magical plants that are found in this area just pump all of this water from like one area to the next, and this source of water is the head of this river, the Jegon River, which is the one that you'll see us crossing on the ferry later on. And in year 5 of this game, once you make it to year 5, one of the like plot things that happens is the river dries up, and it's because these magical plants have died mysteriously or been weakened or whatever. And so we're going to have to come back here later in order to heal the river, or heal the plants, that is, to fill up the river and get across in order to get to the area of the world we need to access to complete the game. So you have to stand on these switches, which push these pedestal keys up out of the ground, and then you go grab the key and put it in, and it opens the gate, as you see.
Oh no, another unfortunate event from Tonby. That's like his 4th or 5th?
4th, I think.
Yeah, he's also, I'm thinking, quite low on Gil at the moment, but like just based on RNG. So hopefully his luck turns around soon.
No, I believe in Tommy. He's got a plan. He's got a plan.
Oh, a backup for every occasion. Yeah.
I mean, worst comes to worst. So you can complete it without the Master's Weapon, but you do end up needing Gil. You do get some drops. Most of the time, you're going to end up getting a Mithril drop, which sells for 1,250. And that's usually enough to carry you through the whole game.
And Very City makes it past her tutorial skip.
Let's go!
Sometimes it's really tough to just say no thank you, so good job.
Next we have Mena is fighting the Golem, which you've already seen Little Tonby fight. This is, for all the melee fighters, not really that big of a fight. For the Ukes, if you ever run the Uke path, the magic users, this is one of the worst bosses in the game. Just because of all the slows and slow affects casting time, and you gotta cast magic as a Uke. Horrible.
Yeah, for melee character, or characters that are focusing on strength and physical attacks, if you get slowed cast on you, it does slow down your movement speed, which obviously isn't good if you're going in a dungeon, but when you're just fighting the boss, the movement speed doesn't affect you too much. But the good thing, it does affect your focus attack cast. Like if you wanted to use your weapon's special power, that would be affected by slow. But generally, the strat would just be if they cast slow on you, just resort to basic melee attacks until it wears off. So it's not as big of a deal.
So here, I hope Tomby's going to be trying to get more money in Mushroom Forest too. I know he's very low on money right now.
Yes, okay, so
see if he's going for that or if he's going to go for Mythril drops later.
yeah, so Tonby has moved into year 3. So this is where the routes are going to begin to diverge. You're seeing he's entering, getting the second cycle of a dungeon now. You see different enemies popping up in Mushroom Forest. More of them. And, oh, Mog has gotten stuck.
Oh, what are you doing?
Oh, no. Mog is actually the hidden boss of the game. He's there to help you, but ruin your day at the same time.
Mog can get stuck on random things. Despite flying, he can't fly over enemies.
Yeah, I'll just clarify in case anyone is confused, because coincidentally, Tomby's character name is Mog. We're talking about the Moogle that's flying around behind each of our runners here that's carrying the Crystal Chalice. His name is Mog.
Conveniently also Mog, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
He also has, the reason he's moving so slow, Mog has a stamina meter. And he gets tired. Now, right now, Tomby is really banking on this Ochu having a mithril, because that's what he's going to need to craft his weapon.
He says he doesn't have Master's Weapon, by the way.
Oh, he doesn't have it?
So he can get it here, I believe.
He did not get the
Please?
mithril, though.
Okay.
So he's going to be a little hamstrung on damage after this dungeon. So that is unfortunate for Tonby.
Running a bit behind on Sydney's screen, if you caught it, Sydney was able to defend that one attack with the right.
She just did it again.
I think so. So that defend, even though you go right through it, because you click defend, you have invincibility frames. It comes out so much later, it comes up often so much later in the runs where you need to defend against certain attacks, especially against the final boss. You're gonna see the Clav and the Lilty have their own strats where they have to run to the side. The Selkie can just sit through the lasers and tank it through the invincibility frames.
Yeah, because as we all know who studied, physics in school, you cannot be harmed while performing a backflip.
Yes. If you Naruto run, it's faster than bullets. Because if you do backflips, it also prevents damage from literally everything.
So I don't think we've touched on it this time yet, but after every completed dungeon, this pleasant little male Moogle is at our service to waste our time. I mean, deliver us important and vital messages from our family, like how our younger sibling is bored or something.
There's one really funny mail where your mother has an accident, the cow runs over her or something, and your family asks you, listen, it's mildly comedic how it happens. Because like, you don't send money back, and then your entire family just hates you for the rest of the run. Listen, it's a video game.
Yeah, so you can send like seeds and money and items back to your family, and it affects their relationship towards you, which affects like what they'll send you or what kind of discount your father will give you on his profession, like blacksmithing or ranching or whatever. But for the speedrun, it could not be less relevant what our family thinks about us. So we just ignore. We don't even open their letters.
Yeah, you just skip right through the letters. Although if
Or
you
I
do,
know, I guess we do open them, but like, or no, we don't. We just skip
no, we
them.
don't. We just skip it. We don't even open it. We don't know what they say.
The only
although
time
if
that
you-
the mail is important is in the youth run, where you have to send a seed back to your family to get fruit later. But that's it.
Fair.
although if your family does like they do give you more gil, and I think more food as well. Don't at me on the food, but I know they give you more money.
I don't think the quantities matters, but a lot of times if your father does not like you, he will talk to you more before actually giving up the money. That's really what the
really?
time save is. Yeah, he'll
That's
he'll
like
lecture you
real.
first if he doesn't like you.
Please respond, son. I miss you.
So here you're seeing for the first time we're going to be crossing that river I was talking about. Tonbi in Team Moogle, I guess,
Yes.
is this is the place where we go talk to the pleasant ferryman, who I believe in English his name is Tristan. Takes us across for a Peasley 50 gil. Measly is what I meant to say. I don't know what Peasley means. A measly 50 gil. And over on the other side of the river, we access a few different dungeons. Yeah. All right, so we have
It looks
Sydney
like-
entering Mushroom Forest 1. We hope for good drops for her so she gets the gills she needs.
Sure, let's keep an eye on that.
It looks like Tonbi is changing up his path a little bit. His original route was to do the old-fashioned route where you went from Mushroom Forest, then to the mines, and then across the river for Celebration Cave. But it looks like he crossed the river earlier, and he's going to be doing Celebration Cave and Demon's Court, which is going to be the route that Manaclaw is doing as well.
Is that another cutscene? Oh no. Alright, so there's 1 silver for Sydney for the Selkie.
Who wants to talk about the RNG of this dungeon with the keys?
RNG. RNG, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so in Demon's Court, whatever you want to call it, the boss door is right at the beginning. However, it is locked by 2 keys. The keys can be held in 2 of 4 enemies throughout the stage. They're always in the same 4 spots, but you don't know which ones it's going to be. You'll go and see if you can find a gold lizard. There's no gold lizard over here, so there is no key on this side.
So usually, if you don't see the golden lizard, you can just walk to the other positions where it could be in. But I think he's actually trying to go for the Mythos since he's so low on money, so low.
Yeah, probably. The large lizard men here have a very high chance of dropping mithril in this dungeon. So that's what he's going for right now.
I believe the Master's Weapon can also drop here, can't it?
It can.
It's.
Yeah.
I think it's in another spot, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like
In its exact spot. It's in the top left. Yeah.
top left.
Yeah,
So he's
the top
probably
left.
gonna end up going for that one. As I think there's also a big lizard there as well that he can also try to get a Mythal drop in.
No, up top they're all
No.
in the center.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he'll have to cross through the center to check for the keys anyway. So
That he will. There
And
will
yeah,
be
he's
one key
going-
up there.
going left to check this chest. Hopefully, so like normally you wouldn't need to come this way, but he needs to open this chest to hopefully get the plan to craft the Master's Weapon. So fingers crossed here.
I don't know if that was. I unfortunately can't read Japanese.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
So Mana here is going to go to Mars Pass. So Mana can craft the armor, the iron armor, and the iron gloves a bit quicker. He doesn't need as much money, so he can just spend whatever he has to get the iron, or to get the.
Not to
armor.
mention, he has found a large amount of money in his run.
Yeah.
He is wealthy.
Ooh, there's an.
Oh,
iron.
Tom be having lots of bad luck on getting mithril. He's gotten some iron, but he needs that mithril. Grabbing the strength artifact there.
And I did not catch the last half of Mushroom Forest there with Sydney to notice how much Gil was.
They got one silver, and I think the other one was a crystal ball. So they should have just enough if they picked up everything else. I didn't catch the last one, but they should be fine.
Okay, it might be.
Gil.
Could be close. We'll see.
Yeah, if she goes right back into it, we'll know that she doesn't think she has enough.
Another iron.
All right, she thinks she has enough. So, and here's the golden lizard that will have the key.
I got a golden lizard.
So overall, any percent does end up having some amount of RNG in it with Master's Weapon and the type of drops. If you
there's game RNG.
Yeah, I mean pretty much. I mean, if you play DLC, you mitigate it a lot. There is a DLC category. There is DLC for the game. You end up getting the strongest weapons even in the base game. They give you plus 40 or plus 30 strength, I think. It's a lot. It's a lot of strength, and it basically makes the entire game a breeze until the end. The end is still somewhat difficult.
Sydney just crafted her Master's Warrior weapon and is heading on to the mines.
Tommy's going to the last lizard spawn. I believe 0 mithril drop so far, so he's really banking on this one. This one is the slowest, but it looks like he has to go for it.
Seems like the universe is just correcting itself, you know. The team at the head is just getting all the worst RNG.
So you see Mana here in Celebration Cave. Hopefully, Tommy's gonna, well, not hopefully, but Tommy might go a different route to the left part, which is a little bit slower, but there are mithril drops there. Because Mana Claw doesn't need it, he can go the shortest path, which is to the right.
Mm-hmm. Now, when we get to year 3,
oh no,
Sydney's going to have a slightly... Oh, no, Mithril. I'm so sorry, Tomby.
Oh no.
So, Sydney will be crossing the river first in order to get the Mithril she needs to craft her Master's Weapon. And then she'll come back across the river to do her second Mushroom Forest.
Yeah, the boss that Mana Claw is fighting right now, the Cave Worm, has an attack that I think might be like the single strongest physical attack in the game outside of the final bosses when it does the big ground pound.
It is a one-hit kill, that move. Yeah.
That what it just did.
Oh,
that will one-shot any of these characters right now.
Although you can have enough hearts and armor to get past it, but we don't
Eventually,
get to the point
yeah.
at this. We don't get there.
But we do come to this dungeon because it's so short to speedrun. You can just run straight through to the end, and the boss is pretty quick, and you're guaranteed to get a +2 strength artifact as long as you don't mess around and get a bunch of bonus points.
So this
Which
is
luckily in the remasters they removed all the don't do bonus point conditions, which means that it's a lot harder to hit that bonus point threshold to mess yourself up.
So on Tommy's side, you see the Lizard King, Lizard King, I think.
Lizardman King, yes.
Lizardman King. Okay. He's got a couple moves. Most of them are going to be pretty easy to dodge, except for the one where he spins, that one where he spins around, kind of shoves the ground in front of him. You need to dodge that one, but everything else you can just walk around him and he'll be fine. Like that move right there where he throws out his little weapon. That one's easy to dodge. You want this move the most, the one where he just blocks in front, because you move behind him, just wail at him. So on Sydney's side, you can start seeing the Orc King strats. Because the Warrior's Weapon's focus attack is a ranged one, where you shoot twice, you can see you can just stand back while he charges it and just focus attack him. Very safe, very simple.
Alright, so hopefully Tomby will be able to find the one mithril that he needs for the Master's Weapon.
On Mana Claw's side, you can see one of the main characters of the game. His name's Gertie. He shares with you bits and pieces of the poem you can see right now. This brings you hints to the mystery element that we're gonna point out later when we get there. But he's one of the main characters. You see him a lot. He always gets into trouble and he asks you for money. You're gonna see one scene where he asks you for money, and if you give him the money, your run's over. So that's another important part where you need to, just like the tutorial, go down, make sure you don't say no. And there it is on Tombi's side, the same cutscene that Matt was just in.
All right, so I think I didn't quite notice which artifact Sydney got from Mushroom Forest, but she did just pick up Shuriken in the third dungeon, which means she might be our only runner in this relay to have gotten 3 strength artifacts in year 1. Which, you know, that generally, like, that would be like a pretty average, like, you pretty much hope / expect you'll be able to get a strength artifact in each of the 3, and if you don't, it's kind of disappointing, not the end of the world. So it's good to see someone actually do it. Although I can't actually verify 100% that she did get a strength artifact in Mushroom Forest.
They're on 4 hearts. I sincerely doubt they picked up a defense, but it is possible because you can get the heart there as well. So I'm pretty sure it's 3 strength.
Oh, you're right. Good thinking. Yes.
Yep. A little Tombi entering Celebration Cave. Since he is lacking Mithril, he'll probably be taking the left route.
Yeah, that's a good.
We're going to keep our fingers
out.
crossed right now that he gets his Mithril, because we want him to get it.
There's 2 lizards that can drop Mithril here. If neither of them do, he's gonna have to reset the dungeon. Resetting the dungeon, you have to actually walk out, go back to the world map, and then re-enter. Or you could die and continue, but generally walking out is going to be just a little bit faster.
Yeah, in the GameCube version, you would death warp, but in this version, because of load screens, you don't want to do that.
You see? Please go for the Mithril. He skipped the 1 lizard already, please.
He did?
I'm pretty sure he did, unless I blinked for a long time. Boss Ogre, did you see it? This one can drop a Mithril, so I think...
I was watching, but I'm stubborn in my ways, so I've always run the route that doesn't go for Mithril in this dungeon, and I'm not sure which lizards drop it. Okay, let's not miss whether Sydney gets Master's Weapon here.
Yes. You keep your eye on that. I'm going to say, Tombi, there is one ailment here that is called Curse, and it halves all your stats.
Oh, no, he did not get it.
No way, dude.
Warrior's Weapon for Sydney. So Sydney's looks like gonna go for the other strats instead of resetting the dungeon. There are multiple places where you can get the Master's Weapon. You definitely want to first try just because it makes you feel better, but there are other backups just in case.
Oh, she could always go back in after completing the dungeon.
That as well, yeah.
Yeah, so this is like one of the eternal problems of optimizing a run of this game, is you have these situations where the fastest way to get a certain item, such as, I'm going to use a concrete example here, very Sydney's Master's Weapon here in Goblin Wall. The fastest way to get that is to just get it right here out of this, you know, chat, or, okay, you know what? Forget the concrete example because I'm going to say it wrong. But what I'm trying to get at is there are a bunch of times in this game where there's this item or money that you need to get, and you want to make sure you get it, because if you don't have it by a certain point, you're going to be screwed. But the fastest way to get it is in a later dungeon. So you don't want to go for it early because it's more out of your way in this earlier dungeon. But you don't actually know for sure whether you'll get it later or not. You know, so it's like, how much do you want to press your luck? It's like constantly balancing that out in this run.
Schrodinger's Master Weapon.
Sydney had a very, very good Goblin's Wall gate fight there. Got through that with no real delay.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth. Let's see how many teleports, though.
I do wonder what Tombi's course of action is going to be from here. Whether he's going to continue with Warrior's Weapon or go for somehow find his way into Master's Weapon Year 5 or something.
Yeah, I mean, he can get Mithril in Riverbell Path 2 if you want to kill Griffins, which is slow.
That's an option. Or he could change up his Year 4 and go into Mines for his Mithril. There's a high chance of getting Mithril in Mines too. So he'll have to just adjust on the fly.
Teleport right off the bat from Goblin King. Thank you.
I'll teleport again, even though they're nowhere near.
So as soon as she gets up here, he'll teleport again, you see. Yeah.
So the most trolls, I think, so far, Mana had some bad luck with teleports, but this one, I would argue, has been the worst so far.
Yeah, this is just like average Goblin King.
Mm-hmm.
If he really wants to troll you, I mean, I had to clip it and post it in the Discord like a month ago when I was doing my practice runs to serve as a backup for this relay, and I had a Goblin King who I went an entire minute without hitting him. Teleport.
That's why I like playing Uke. I just AoE. Dodge this.
I think Mana's on Year 4 now. He should be going to Riverbell Path 2, which is officially faster than Tombi. Tombi just finishing up Year 3, having to go to literally every single Mytho drop, and unfortunately getting none, but marathon luck, I guess.
Hashtag marathon luck. So Sydney opting for the heart artifact there, even though a strength one was available.
That is the general path. You do usually pick up a heart there, despite being super lucky and being able to pick up a strength there.
It looks like she is opting to try and find her master's weapon somewhere else.
That is, well, yeah, that is fair.
Yeah, so like a beginner strat, like someone who's just learning this game and you're not necessarily going for world record or anything, we would sometimes advise you to just, if you don't get Master's Weapon and Goblin Wall the first time, just go back in the dungeon over and over until you get it, which loses a bunch of time, but it ensures that you have that better weapon sooner in the run. But to be competitive, you want to just probably say, it takes too long to reload the whole dungeon and run into all that. There's a few other places I can get it that are slightly out of my way. I'll just hope that I get it in one of those
First
others.
try or reset.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright, so Tombi has a lot of iron, which is always good for crafting the armor, but lacking so much in money overall. You usually want one Mytho drop at least just to sell for money. We'll see how it plays out. They might have to play some less money intensive routes. You want at least 650 at the end just to complete the game. But sometimes you'll probably see on Sydney's route, they're going to one place called Mount Kalanda, and it's a 500 gil round trip. So Sydney wants a little bit more money just to be able to go there. Mana doesn't, so Mana can skip out on that 500, and we will see what Tombi does.
Yes, I was waiting for the triple loading screen. I knew it was going to happen. It's probably already happened before, and I just missed it.
Sydney with an event. Luckily, that's a very quick event and doesn't waste a whole lot of time.
Yeah, it's not any
That's one of the,
dialogue.
if you're going to get an event, you want that one.
Yep. I was talking about how Goblin King can be such a trolly boss, but in all honesty, the Giant Crab can also be extremely trolly when it wants to be, because it has the ability to just hop around as opposed to casting lightning. And especially once you've knocked off both of its appendages that it uses and it's down to like a limited number of abilities, all it can do in its final form there is either cast lightning, cast slow, or hop around. And sometimes the crab just decides to be like, guess what? You're not gonna hit me ever. I'm just gonna hop around.
So we're gonna see Team Coco pulling ahead. I think Team Mog was first when we started, right? Yeah, Team Mog was first, but unfortunately, we're gonna due to bad luck, we're gonna see Team Coco pulling ahead as they finish Giant Crab 2 first before Mog.
Oh, and yeah, Tombi is killing. Oh, this is the Strength Artifact Griffin, not the Mithril Griffin. Never mind.
Other one's probably in the second part, yeah.
Oh, random encounter for Sydney again. Before Tita. And which one do we get? Oh, wah, wah.
Oh, the Luda
best-
Caravan.
The best thing about this being such a long event is that they don't say anything at all meaningful or relevant. They're just like, hey, how are you doing? We're okay. Cool. All right. Well, see ya.
What a great encounter. Yeah, it pans out, and then they go, all right, well, I'll catch you later.
All right, Tonbi, I think, is going to try and farm these griffins for Mithril, because they can drop one.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Looks like it went right into the water.
That is a good strat. You know, I've messed around with killing these griffins before, and I never thought of this. Oh, clever. Man!
Man, indeed.
This is like some next level screw you from the game. I've never seen this many failed mithril checks in a run.
I know one time I re-entered Damon's Court and I got like 7 irons before getting a mithril. So I've seen it before, but you definitely don't want to see it in general.
Yeah, I mean, I've had really bad luck in Minaka 30s before, but I mean, Tombi took the route, you know, going through Demon's Court, Celebration Cave, checking for it in Riverbell Path. It's like, and you still don't have mithril. My goodness.
Yep. He hasn't done anything wrong. The game has just not been in his favor.
Yeah, no, he's been running really well.
Yep.
So I saw on Sydney's and they got one guild drop. Here in Taida Village, you usually want worm antennas or iron to drop from the little worms.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
Yeah.
we weren't able to talk about this next part up here very well in the first 2 runs that came by, but right here in Tita, there is a part. You're going to see these little spiderwebby gates that you have to cast fire on in order to get by, and that's what they are doing.
Oh, and it looks like Sydney's checking for a worm antenna here. You don't have to go out of your way to kill this worm, but that would be the reason you would. A potential gill drop, and looks like
got the
she
worm
got it.
antenna. All right, she should be pretty good to go on Gil.
That's a
moving
500. That's 500 gill right there. The worm antenna.
Now, a thing I wanted to point out that was happening on Mana's stream and Team Choco was that normally when you hit those jellyfish, it stuns you. However, Mana was attuned to wind for his chalice, which gives him a little bit of lightning resistance, allowing him to not get stunned by the jellyfish upon hitting him.
So Tombi says they're gonna return to Riverbell Path at year 5. That's Riverbell Path, I think, and try to get Mithril there. I hope at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I've never theory crafted how deep in the game do you have to go checking over and over and failing to get Mithril before. It's like you should have just not bothered.
Usually, if you don't get it, you can just reset. But...
Yeah. So just to clarify and lay it out there for the viewers, like the route slash strategy slash race, whatever, all that combined, that Mana Claw is using on Team Choco is he specifically chose the strategies he's chosen because he didn't want to put himself at risk of getting really bad money RNG. He's taking some slightly slower choices in order to beat the game with a weaker weapon and just say, you know what, I'm going to eat a little bit of slowness because I don't want to deal with money RNG. And what we're seeing here is like an extreme case from Tombi of why Mana Claw didn't want to deal with money RNG, but I've never seen one this bad.
It does.
I mean, as it turns out, Mana actually got some of the luckiest money RNG you can get. He's just loaded right now.
Oh,
it does come back to bite him later, Mana Claw's route, because at the end of when you get to the final boss, to the last dungeon, you do end up on a little bit less strength just because you are running a weaker weapon. So you do need to get some lucky drops at the end as opposed to up front. But you can usually mitigate it. You can usually just blast on through with the weaker weapon.
Yes. So how it's going to work out is with decent luck, both Sydney and Tonby are going to be finishing the game between 65 and 70 strength. Mana will be finishing the game between 60 and 65 strength. Yes. So he does have that one. He has to have really, really good luck in order to get the threshold that the other two are probably going to end up having. But again, he doesn't have to worry about money nearly as much.
Speaking of not worrying about money, this is the cutscene where you can choose to give Gertie your money or not. It is faster to give him your money. So if you do...
By one text box.
Faster is faster.
Yeah.
So we will see if Mana is loaded, if he can afford it. No, he is not going to give his best friend Gertie 1,000 gil.
I wouldn't either.
He doesn't deserve it.
Sinks underweight. Land's bounties grace. No campers play.
Alright.
Oh, whoops. I had to refresh my stream and I got a ad.
Okay. Interesting thing between the two versions, the remaster and this one, is that the translation for that poem is actually different.
Oh yeah, they changed it.
Yep, they changed the wording for that one poem.
Yeah, there's also in the remaster they changed it. I guess they thought it was a little confusing to some people or something.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is they changed it when he tells it to you there. But then later on, when you're in your home village and the elder is reciting the poem to you, it's not changed.
Oh, is it not?
I think
like Gertie and the elder now tell you two different versions of the poem.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, I know Mana was telling me as well, if you go to Moshet Manor, the the title screen actually says like Jack Moshet instead of the location name. Unlike all the other ones, if you go into, you see Tommy and Goblin Wall, it's going to tell you Goblin Wall. If you go to, Riverbell Path, it's going to say Riverbell Path. But for some reason, Moshet Manor says Jack Moshet, which is the name of the boss instead.
Does it?
Apparently,
didn't realize that one.
I think... I'm pretty sure that's what happens, yeah.
Hail, Caravaner!
So second encounter for Mana Claw in terms of the random ones that you don't want, but it's one of the relatively shorter ones.
It is.
And you also get to listen to one of the best voice actors.
We don't listen to the voice actors. We just match through.
The Mana muted. I can't remember. I can't remember if Mana muted. Yeah. All of they're the caravan from Alphateria. All of them have a pretty similar voice. It's kind of deep, kind of like muscular kind of dude. Except for that one guy who's got like a more nasally, younger voice for some reason. So here in Mushroom Forest 3, this is the third time you're gonna play this dungeon. The path you usually take is blocked off, so you have to take this longer route to the south.
Yeah, it's actually a little more optimal in terms of strictly time to instead of doing Mushroom Forest Cycle 3 to take a boat to a different dungeon and do it. It's a little faster, but you do have to have money to afford that ferry ride, so you can save a little bit of the time by not having to farm that money, but also by doing Mushroom Forest here, there is the potential to pick up a +3 strength artifact, which is pretty much just out of the question in the other route. You never even come across a +3 potential if you don't go here, so that's one of the reasons. That's one of the plus sides to coming in here.
Yep, and also you don't have to worry about the time it takes to get it. And I think he got it. I think the Sasuke blade, that's the +3.
Yeah.
All right.
So even if mana doesn't get it from the boss drops, from the random artifact selection at the end, he still has this backup of getting the Sasuke's blade from the chest, which is very lucky for him.
Yep.
Yeah, you love to get it in the chest, and then it's just you already have it. So. Yeah, so the way the game works is that every dungeon has, well, with the exception of the final dungeon, every dungeon has exactly 4 artifacts within it, and they're all going to be a different type. So like in a dungeon, it could come from a chest or it could come from an enemy drop, but there will be 1 strength artifact, 1 defense artifact, 1 magic artifact, and then 1 other artifact that's something special, either an extra heart or an extra command slot.
Utility artifact is usually what I like to call them.
Yeah, utility artifacts. So once you, any artifact that you pick up while you are in the dungeon will be at your, on your options list to select as the one you keep from it at the end. And in addition to whatever you pick up in the dungeon, there's 4 artifacts that are just quote unquote dropped by the boss or whatever. Like you'll have at least 4 to choose from regardless, but they don't have anything to do with the dungeon itself. But then, anyone you collect during the dungeon, you might be able to keep as well. So if you get the artifact you're looking for while you're in the dungeon, it's just kind of a nice reassurance that like, okay, I'm gonna have this.
All right. So for those of you just tuning in, I'm gonna take a moment while we kind of have a little bit of more downtime and just reintroduce everybody. In the top left-hand corner in Team Mog, you have Little Tonby. He's gonna be playing. In the top right-hand corner for Team Tonberry, you have Very Sydney. And in the bottom left-hand corner for Team Chocobo, you have Manaclaw. I'm Silly Pirate.
I'm Boss Ogre.
And I'm Killer Orcas.
We are, of course, commentating for you.
We also do run the game, smiley face.
Yep, a little bit. Killer Orcas just got his PP last night.
I think that's my first run in the original, but I usually run all dungeons, as opposed to this is any percent. I play all of the dungeons, including the 3 that we don't play in any percent.
Awesome.
So if you want.
I haven't streamed in a very, very long time, but I run the Uke route when I run typically. That's what I do. I'm the Uke runner.
Yes, Silly Pirate came along and insisted that we make a Magic Users category because prior to him, we were all just like...
not insist anything. Meta insisted there was a category so that the Uke was actually competitive in something.
Excuse me, I did not mean to disparage you unjustly. Oh, what I meant by you insisted it was that you actually started playing the category and embracing it. Whereas more, before that, everyone was just like, well, Magic is slow.
I don't know if you guys noticed that while we were introducing ourselves, but Little Tomby finally got his mithril from the O2. He got his mithril. He can now go craft his master's weapon.
So yeah, so now he has like at least 6 or 7 iron that he can sell, in addition to whatever else he has. So he should be fine on money. He should be fine on the master's weapon, which is great. But yeah, no, we have a great community. We run all sorts of things. All of the different categories have at least someone to help you out if you are looking to run the game. Very fun game, very exciting.
Were there air quotes around that? I'm not sure.
Well, after seeing Tombi, what was it? Eighth drive Mithril?
Tombi's run right now is the exception. Tombi's run right now is definitely the exception. You don't normally get that bad of luck.
It is very interesting to see how he plans around it, though, because usually you don't go to that Ochu up top. Usually, if you saw manas, you just go down, you just go straight to the end. But there's a lot of, game knowledge, a lot of planning based on what you get and what you don't get.
And since you were just talking about categories of this game, and we're talking about Mithril, I want to just point out, so if the original version of this game for the GameCube, the fastest category and the strats that you would generally use for the any percent no glitches banned category, the way that what makes that version that category so fast is that very, very early, like actually in year 1, you are able to exploit a glitch in order to obtain essentially infinite gil, like however many you can duplicate a bunch of items and sell as many of them as you want. And so this mithril, this item that Tonbi has been failing to get lucky enough to have someone drop, is actually for sale in the first village you encounter that has a merchant. It's just that the cost to buy that crafting material is just prohibitively expensive for anything that would be remotely reasonable for this run.
I think it's
5,000 gil for one of them, yeah. And so in the GameCube any percent version, we just do an infinite gil glitch, buy a bunch of mithril immediately, and we never have to worry about getting another drop for the rest of the game, and that's why it's so fast. And not to mention the master's weapon, or the better crafting equipment, but you can immediately craft really good armor also. And so you pretty much, from the beginning of the game, you more or less can't die, and you're guaranteed to not have to worry about as much randomness in the item drops.
There is a sort of similar category here with the DLC. Instead of buying armor and your warrior's weapon straight up, you can just get the DLC weapons, which give you more strength.
I just want to point out here something. Someone in chat popped in wondering why Mog has fallen behind. Team Mog has had very, very, very bad luck with item drops, and so they've been having to farm a lot of mobs that you normally would not farm, and also they've been weaker than they're supposed to be at this point, just because the gear has not dropped for them to craft their better weapons. So I just wanted to point that out. We had some people asking in chat why Mog had fallen behind.
Yeah, they
his blade there, so that's always good.
Yeah. Oh, the desert is happening now on.
If you want to go explain it, boss.
Mana Claws. Yeah, I guess I'll do this. So we talked very early on. You might have missed it if you haven't been here for the whole run. But in this game, there are these barriers throughout the world called miasma streams that they're essentially just these highly concentrated areas of miasma that are, it's like a poisonous gas. You can't walk through it unless you have the protection of the crystals, which are powered by this magical myrrh essence. And the whole game is is about going around and collecting this essence to protect your village at home from the miasma and all that. And the elements of it are earth, wind, fire, and water. But when we come to this desert island and we explore this desert, and there's a bunch of cryptic poems in the game that lead you to kind of realize you need to come to the desert and solve this mystery or whatever. But essentially there's these 4 special mysterious kind of objects that kind of stand out in the desert, and we have to cast a certain type of magic on each one in order to just trigger this mystery puzzle thing. And once we do all the right things and go say the magic word and spin around 3 times and click our heels, then we get our chalice imbued with this element that is not any of the basic ones, earth, wind, fire, or water. It's just question mark, question mark, question mark. So essentially, it's like this mystery element that has the ability to protect you from any miasma stream, no matter what the element is. And the very final miasma stream in the game that blocks off the final dungeon and the end of the game is actually of this mystery element. So the only way to access the very end of the game is to solve this desert puzzle. But you don't actually have to complete the desert dungeon. all you have to do is gain access to the mystery element, set your chalice on it so that it is imbued with that element, and then you can just walk out and get on with your life.
So if you have been paying attention, if you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was gonna point out right here on Sydney's stream. So far, she's not having very good luck with her mithril, but if you've noticed, she has taken a detour, and instead of going into the Mushroom Forest, she went ahead and crossed the river first, and is now going through Salvation Cave, and will then be heading over to Demon's Court to get her mithril first, before moving on. And then she'll cross the river back again, and then do Mushroom Forest to finish out her third year.
I think Tommy got another.
Oh, and she got her master's weapon from the chest. Excellent.
Amazing.
So now she just has to get her mithril, and she'll have her master's weapon and ready to move on.
Yeah, so she'll probably farm a couple mithril drops in Damon's Court. It is slightly higher drop rate there, I think.
It is?
Yeah, I think so.
And there's 4 chances over 2.
Yep. I think Tommy's going to be heading over to Luda now to go to the desert and do the same thing Mana's doing. If you've been following the poems, I think we've had 2 so far. One with the cutscene where you give him money, and then the other one with the Mars Pass group. What he does, the first one says something about casting thunder on the cactus. So what do? You cast thunder on the cactus. It's a very specific cactus, though. Once you get the poem, the minimap actually marks it. On the GameCube version, you don't get to see that, so you have to quote unquote game fax it, cheat maybe. But the minimap does mark it here. Once you get all the poems, it's very straightforward. But because we know it, you don't actually need to get the poems to be able to do it. So you can just go ahead and do what you need to do. Cast Thunder on the cactus, Gravity on the tent, Fire on the rock that looks like a mushroom, Blizzard on the 3 rocks, Holy on the flower, and then there you see him just teleport out. That is a mechanic that we usually never use until Linari Desert. Where you can actually put your chalice on the little, what do they call those?
Fonts.
Spots, yes.
Fonts. F-O-N-T.
Fonts. And then you can just teleport out. So Mana is all set for the end game. He has to go back to Violus Luce 2 in order to refill the river. That's what if you caught the little text box earlier, he says the boat guy says the river dried up, so I had to sail all the way down here. So he's gonna go refill the river, and then he can go ahead and finish the game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how it works. So, this is not a super linear game. If you're playing it, just casually. Clearly, you can. The whole point that they were trying to go for is you can kind of explore the world at your own pace and your own whims and do whichever dungeon you want, whatever order. So when it comes to the speedrun, when we're just trying to optimize, okay, what are the minimum things we have to do to get to the end? It turns out that the only thing that really matters is that we need to get that mystery element. And to get that mystery element, we have to get to the desert. To get to the desert, we have to sail on a boat because it's on an island. And the guy who controls the boat, the ferryman, just simply doesn't offer to take us to the desert until year 5. And that is why we beat the game in year 5.
Yep.
Although one day I swear we're gonna find Miasma skip, where we can finally skip having to change our chalice and everything. One day we're going to find it, and the game will be better, maybe. So one thing,
the event that Sydney has right here is another mandatory event. We've kind of been skipping over those, but there are a couple of random events that you hit that you're going to get no matter what. And this is one of them, so she's not losing time on this one.
There's 3 categories of mandatory ones. There's this one with the Strike Brigands. You see 2 of them, I think. There's the Black Knight encounters, where you learn more about the Black Knight, which is also pretty important to the lore. And then there's the Gertie cutscenes where he gives you the poems. All those are going to be mandatory. All the other ones with I know we saw one from the Fields of Fun caravan where they're kind of look like farmers. There's the Mars Pass one with the 3 Lilties, and then there's the Alphateria one with the 4 Lilties. 5?
5.
5 Lilties, all wearing black armor. Most of those aren't going to be mandatory, but there are some Black Knight scenes that do feature them.
All right, now we have Sydney doing Demon's Court, so we'll see how lucky she gets with the location of the keys. All right, there's the one.
Yeah, the first one, good spot. She'll
probably good.
Yeah,
Take
she's gonna
that and run
go
with it.
farm
Oh,
her. No, she's gonna go
fair
farm
enough.
mithril. She didn't get any mithril drops in Celebration Cave.
Oh, I
So
see.
she's gonna go up here to fight the big lizard to get her mithril drops. I think at this point money wise she wants at least 2 mithril drops. Optimally she would have 3, but I think she'll probably try and settle with 2.
She has a couple alloys, which is something.
Yeah.
Fun. I think she got pretty okay luck in Tita Village too.
And she did get that worm antenna. That is true. So money wise, she should be okay, but she does need at least 1 mithril in order to.
There is a backup
Yeah,
if
the
you
weapon.
don't have enough mithril. You can skip out on Mount Kalanda. I think Sydney's going to be the only one doing that in this part, as Tommy's leaving Linari. It is 500 gil to go to Mount Kalanda. It is you get a better artifact there than the alternative, which I think is Mina Catharges 2.
Yeah.
But it does cost money, so you do want the money to be able to go there. Sydney should be fine, so we should be seeing Mount Kalanda. But if we don't, there is always a backup for it.
Yeah, okay, so Mana has pointed this out twice now, so I'm going to go ahead and mention it. The song that plays in Violus Luce 2, or Violus Luce, is just it's a great song. It's probably one of the best in the game. If you're interested in soundtracks and you're going to look up this game's soundtrack, check out the song Promised Grace.
Is that what this is called?
It slaps.
The music in Violus Luce 2 is actually a remastered only music. In the original version, the same music plays throughout Violus Luce 1 and 2. But because the rivers dried up, I guess they felt like it was worthy of a new song.
Yeah, that's you. Thank you for clarifying that. I kind of tripped over myself when I was trying to say that because, like, I noticed Mana pointed out the first time we were in Violus Luce, banger alert, and I didn't say anything. And then he said it again, and I was like, oh yeah, I meant to point that out, but it's a different song.
Yeah.
But they're both bangers. Just check out the soundtrack. guys.
I
It's
do want to point out.
fantastic.
I do want to point out, interrupt you guys here on music, and actually talk about mechanics of the game. If you guys noticed a moment ago, Mana will be casting Raise. In the original version, it's called Life. But he'll be casting Raise on those flowers in order to revive them. Oh, I thought Mog was going to get stuck there. But in order to revive them, to
Be able to pump water.
be able to get the water pumping again to refill the river.
Yeah. And you can actually, there's a nifty little trick. It's one of those minor tech things that speedrunners love. You can have a brief moment of invincibility if you walk up to these plants when they're dead. When you get close to them, you
got 'em,
have
Mithril.
this. Oh, nice, good for Sydney. When you walk up to these dead plants, if you walk up, there will be a little option to press B or whatever to like inspect it, and it cuts. If you look at it, it cuts to this little scene where it's like, this plant seems to be dead or whatever. And while it's in that little 1 or 2 second cutaway to show you the plant, even if there's enemies attacking you, since it's in a cutscene, those enemies' attacks won't do anything. So it can be a helpful way to just get a little bit of extra, buffer time. Because This, like, similar to that area we talked about in Goblin Wall, where you can easily get surrounded by enemies and you're trying to get the key for the pedestal and it just gets out of hand. These puzzles in Via Luz Luz can really cost you a bunch of time if you get, some bad luck or get the enemies out of sync with each other. So that trick of looking at the plants is pretty helpful.
So Mana Claw is going to be going to the next split part, which is the Golem in Via Luz Luz 2. After this, he can go straight to the...
Actually, Mana Claw is going to be taking a pit stop right here in Mars Pass to craft his weapon, because he hasn't been able to do that yet.
Which weapon?
His Master's Weapon.
I don't think he crafts that.
Well,
What are
he
you talking
did
about?
recently- not Mana, sorry, Tonbi.
Okay, I was...
I said the wrong name. That's
I was
my
like,
fault.
wait, hold on a second.
No, I said the wrong name. Tonbi is going to be stopping here in Mars Pass to craft his Master's Weapon, I believe. And Tonbi is just having the worst luck in both encounters, drops, everything.
Artifacts, money, and counters. Those are like the three big things, and Tombi has had atrocious luck in every category.
But they do have that one extra defense, which might come up near the end.
No, he's not. He's not crafting it.
Oh, probably on the way back then, I guess. He better.
Here you go, Capo.
So yeah. After this for Mana Claw is Mount Valanche, and then that is the last dungeon before the memory quiz.
Yeah, it's the last
Don't ruin
dungeon.
it.
Oh.
I'm just playing.
Hope you guys have been paying attention to what's going on, because we might need your help for the memory quiz, guys.
Yeah, so that's actually a mechanic in this game that's worth mentioning. It's not extremely relevant in the speedrun, but in addition to your stats of like strength, defense, magic, or whatever, there's this other stat that's listed on the screen called memories. And it's just every time, if you've noticed, every time we encounter somebody on the road, every time we complete a dungeon, every time we finish a year, just about like any time anything happens, our character adds an entry to our journal or diary, and every diary entry counts as one memory. This game, the theme is all about memories. Like when the story kind of reveals itself at the end, it's all about memories and memories. So when you're fighting the final boss, is the only time I'm pretty sure that that memory stat actually comes into play. Is that right?
If you fail a question on the quiz, you do lose that memory. But,
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially there's like a way to, the final boss, of course, is very strong and all that. And there's this sort of gimmicky way that you can fight the final boss. They like sap your memories out of you, but then you like heal the memories and it turns into magic that can make you invincible sometimes and all this stuff. And I guess they intended you to fight the boss that way, maybe? But, we're just skilled, so we ignore that and just whack it with our weapon.
It is possible to completely run out of memories. The final boss does have a move where he sucks up your memories. One of the memories that spawn. You'll see it later. The memory kind of takes form in a little bubble. If you run out of memories, one of the characters says, "You're not strong enough. Go back." And I think they throw you back to the title screen.
Yeah, so okay, so sort of how that happens specifically is that you lose your memories, and whenever you get a game over in this game, it says, "Hey, do you want to try again?" And you jump right back in. But if you drop down to 0 memories, the game says, "No, you don't get to try again. Start over," essentially, and you go all the way back to your last save point. Yeah.
Not start over from the beginning.
Not happen. It takes usually it takes a lot of deaths to the very final boss to have that happen. It's very rare.
You usually end the game with around 30-ish, 35-ish memories, sometimes a bit less, sometimes a bit more. You usually only spawn around 2 or 3 memories per speedrun final boss fight. So it takes around 10 game overs to fully deplete your memories.
So your speedrun had bigger problems if you run out of memory.
Pretty much.
So we did see another random encounter there for Mana Claw on his way to the final dungeon. That's only his third one. I think Tonby's already up to like 6 or 7.
Okay, I want to point out right here, because Sydney was able to find 2 mithril, she has sold 1, and she is she's selling all her stuff right now. This is her last big shopping spree here, and she's going to go craft her master's weapon. And looks like she's also picking up some iron armor and iron belts. So she's increasing her offense, her defense, to move on towards the end of the game.
So that defense can make a huge difference in the end.
It can.
Yes,
It can make a whole lot from being one shot and not being one shot.
Yeah, that's literally like the biggest, like pretty much the only significance of getting a little more defense or not is whether the enemies and bosses in the last dungeon either one-shot you or you leave you with half a heart. And that is so important because while we do have an abundance of Phoenix down in this run, the final boss has an attack or two that just are going to kill you if it hits you, and it's just like too bad. So if you have that extra defense to where some attacks don't quite one-shot you, it's all the difference in the world because you can use a bunch of meat to keep yourself going, not Phoenix down. If you run out of Phoenix down, you're in a really, really, really bad spot in the final boss.
Yep. Generally, you end the game with around like 30-ish meat and maybe like 6 or 7 Phoenix downs.
Right. But yeah, things can get really hairy if you have low defense.
So as you see here in Sydney's game, in order to finish the Selkie route, the optimal Selkie route, you need at least 1,150 gil when you finish selling everything. I believe Sydney is a little bit over that, so she should be fine to go to Mount Kalanda and then do the rest of the game. Now on Tomby's side, he's just finishing up the Golem, and he will be following Mana's footsteps and going to Mount Bellage by crossing the other side.
Maybe
the last 2 dungeons that Mana's going to be walking past. We don't need them. We have everything we need. We're going to the boss.
And right here is the unknown element miasma stream that we were talking about earlier. This is the final barrier.
Everyone get ready to say hey to Jeff. Get ready to say hey to Jeff.
Oh yeah. If you also, even though we're not playing on the GameCube version,
Jeffrey.
this
Hey,
is
Jeffrey.
like maybe the laggiest scene on the entire GameCube library. I don't know, but we are not playing on the GameCube. But this this miasma stream is not friendly to the GameCube hardware.
You can visually see it go from like 30 to at least like 15. It's awful on GameCube.
It might be more like 9. It gets really low.
That being said, it honestly kind of fits well because there's so much going on. You really don't notice it, in my opinion.
So I want to take a minute to explain a little bit about the uniqueness of the final dungeon, Mount Bellage. Earlier, when I was explaining how the artifacts work in this game, I talked about how every dungeon has 4 artifacts within it that you can collect, and you keep them while you're in there, but then at the end you only get to choose 1 to keep permanently. Well, Mount Bellage here is the exception. Mount Bellage has, I think, 8 different artifacts, or like 12. There's a bunch of artifacts in it, and so it's special. You can collect a bunch of them, and it's also unique in that it has artifacts. Well, it's not completely unique in this, but within the context of our speedrun route here, it's unique in that it has artifacts that provide a +5 boost to your stat, which is extremely significant because +5 on its own is enough to take you up a whole tier of damage. So that artifact that you see that was just picked up there by Manaclaw, fortunately for him, was a +3 strength artifact. Essentially, there's one...
So right here, there's 2 chests that are RNG as to what they'll drop. Oh, he got nothing in that one. That's sad.
Yeah.
But he has one more chest where he can get a +5, and we're keeping our fingers crossed for that. Otherwise, he's going to have to do a lot of backtracking later on. So keep our fingers crossed. This next chest is a strength artifact for him.
Yeah, there's 2 chests that can drop either +5 strength, +5 defense, or +10 defense, and then +10 magic, or
it's
nothing.
a +9 magic. It's a +9 magic and a +5 defense. Yes.
Okay. Or nothing.
Here it is. Let's
Oh,
see
no.
what he gets.
There it is. One
Woo,
Masamune.
Masamune, he got it. No
So that's the
backtracking
one you're
needed.
looking for. Optimally, you would get 2 of those. You would get 2 Masamunes, one from the first chest that opened that got nothing, and then one right there that gives you +10 strength, which is a major boost to the speed of the final boss.
But
He is still going.
that's pretty decent luck to get one though, so he's
Yeah.
okay.
It's a 25% ish for each, so I guess better than average. He is still going to get all the other chests though. There's a couple more chests that drop strength, like this one. That one's a +2. His goal here is to reach 65 strength, which he should be able to.
Yeah, so short version of the TLDR of everything we just said. The last dungeon is all about chest RNG. There you go.
I see people in chat mentioning it. There is a post-game to the remastered version. It features harder bosses, harder dungeons, better drops, better weapons that you can craft. We do have a category for the post-game dungeons if you are interested in it. It is pretty unrouted so far, very exciting though. I saw Tommy, he went back to Via Lose Lose 2. There is an early chest there that can drop you a Phoenix down. He probably got it for safety, which is better. I know he's a little bit lacking in strength and Phoenix Downs right now, I think.
And a flame tongue. So Mena's not going to be able to hit that next tier of strength. He's going to be in the 65 tier. So, I mean, the 60 tier, not the 65 tier, which is unfortunate. But you know, he still has enough strength to get through the end of the game at a decent rate.
Right. So the most important thing for Mana Claw there was getting the +5, which he did get, which was pretty lucky. Other than the +5, there's 3 other chests for him to collect, and each one of those has a 50-50 to either be a +3 or a +2. And he needed at least 2 of them to be +3, but he only got 1 +3.
Keep an eye on Mana's mini map. I believe, yep, right there it's frozen. Apparently, if you get too far from Mog, the mini map just freezes.
Yeah, the game in this, or the camera in this game, the way it's programmed, is always centered around the crystal chalice, not your character. So if you run off, the camera just stays wherever the chalice is. It's kind of an interesting thing. And once you get outside that little ring of protection, it gives you start taking constant damage from the miasma.
So here, this is Meteor Parasite, allegedly the final boss. It's got 3 phases, and in it you want to hit at least 60 strength. Anything less than 60 for everything else, you're better off resetting. You lose so much time less than 60 strength. You do 1 damage to the boss basically. So at least 60 is what you're aiming for.
And Tonby just finished his last crafting and will be heading on to Bellage now himself.
We want to talk about Meteor Parasite strats. There's a couple different ones. The one Mana does right here, if you just kind of stand behind him, he can't hit you. You do get poisoned though, which is better than getting hit by him. He does leave you at half a heart if you if you are hit by him, which is where that armor comes in a lot. If you don't craft the armor, you die on it.
Yeah, if you... An interesting thing to point out here is because Mana Claw has chosen this strategy of skipping the Master's Weapon, the thing we were talking about that is causing Tomby all these misfortunes of not getting the money drops that he needs. A difference between the weapons is not just their strength stat, it's also like they have different focus attacks, like the animations for those their special attacks and how their charge attacks basically is different. If he didn't have the Warrior's Weapon here, if he actually had the Master's Weapon as Lilty, you can just simply not move and this boss can never hit you. Like, it just starts you out in a perfect safe spot, and you can just take your thumb off the control stick and never take damage. But because he has a different weapon, the warrior's weapon, the focus attack for that weapon actually moves your character. That's just the nature of it. Like, it launches you towards wherever the the targeting thing is. So just kind of an interesting little thing to point out. If you have the master's weapon, you don't have to move at all.
That being said, on the second and the third phase, there's a third phase of the Meteor Parasite, you like to switch, as a Lilty, you like to switch back to the warrior's weapon, just because it makes it a lot easier. The Lilty's master weapon focus attack is a charged attack, it's a projectile, kind of similar to the Selkie one, but I think it's like a lance shape or something. It's kind of bad for these two phases, so he usually switches back to warrior's weapon anyways, which is kind of where this route came about, just because it's just so much easier to just keep it, instead of switching back and forth, going through the pains of trying to find master's weapon and everything. Usually works out well at the end, because you can hit that 65 with luck, but you also end at 60. Saves time at the beginning, loses a bit of time at the end.
Tombi encountering Jeffrey now?
Hi, Jeffrey. Bye, Jeffrey!
That is not the character's actual name, but that is just what we have in the FFCC community has named him.
There is a little
interesting fact. So right now, all the other races aside from Uke can stand right up next to the laser and be fine. The Uke is so tall it actually has to defend.
There is a DLC skin where you don't have to defend though.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah, the Charlotta skin, you can actually just stand there because you're shorter or something. I did it once, I'm like, no way. DLC is pay to win.
Well, if you're... Oh, yeah, but yeah, DLC
Uke
is the good one, yeah.
No, in DLC Uke is not the good one.
No, it's not.
Is the good one.
Guys, I don't know what I'm talking about. I haven't played... I don't know anything about the remaster. Don't tell the relay organizer.
Is good when it comes to anything post-game. So the post-game dungeon run, which is really long, Uke is good for that, and also all the post-game individual level runs, Uke is the fastest, because there is an accessory you can get later on with the Uke called the Wise Man.
Sorry to interrupt you. Here's a good example of Goblin Wall going awry. Sorry, Sydney.
So you got slowed from the flan. The little yellow thing is called a flan. That one can slow you. Everything else just kind of groups up on you. Not a fun fight. Sometimes you want to take a death here. Earlier, Mana Claw did take a death here at Goblin Wall. When you die, everything kind of de-aggroes you. So they just run back, and then you can do whatever you need to do. It eats a Phoenix down, which is not good.
Alright, let's see what Tombi gets artifact-wise.
Okay, so Tombi is at 54 strength.
Oh,
so
he also got nothing there.
I think he definitely wants to reset from Masamune, unless he wants to attempt 60 strength Clavet. Not the most fun thing to do in the world. Yeah, so I was talking about DLC earlier. There is a DLC category, but because the DLC skins pretty much do nothing for you, we do allow the DLC skins. Some of them are better, some of them are worse. As what I said earlier with the one of the Uke skins, apparently you can defend it. It's super irrelevant. Kind of doesn't matter. It's one of the Clavet skins actually just doesn't work sometimes. The warrior's weapon focus attack doesn't hit.
Oh, he's going for it. Tombi's just gonna go for it.
Alright, 60 strength.
Yeah, at this point he's like, forget this RNG. I'm just gonna get out of this run.
Yeah, I believe it. He's probably really tired of it.
2 teleports. Ah. Oh, poison. That's what you want to see. What you want Goblin King to do is just cast poison over and over and over. 3 teleports, not too bad.
Could have been better. Definitely. Oh, you gotta hit those.
Oh no. Kill the boss! Sydney, kill the boss!
Sydney, free!
4 teleports.
Oh, Sydney, please, you just gotta hit him.
There it goes.
All right.
Alright, Mena working on the final phase of the Meteor Parasite.
Yo, Spike Vegeta, thank you for the raid.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Welcome, everyone.
We are closing to the end of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles for mana collecting. We have like around 40-ish minutes left. Little Tommy's catching up. Sydney a little bit behind. Started a little bit late. But still going on very good pace. I think overall probably going to be faster than these two in terms of just FFCC. Because once again, Mana Claw is sitting at 60 strength. Little Tommy also at 60 strength. The final boss is gonna end up being a little bit slower. In addition to the fact that they're playing different tribes, which are slower as well. The Lilti tribe and the nice BM there, Mana. The Lilti tribe and the Clavid tribe are going to be a little bit slower in terms of the final boss because there are different strats you have to do for them.
Okay.
We
got Sydney has the encounter here where she can accidentally give up all her money and tank her run. Let's hope she does not accidentally give her gil away to Gertie here, because that would be very bad.
He is a smooth talker. It's this conversation that Sydney's just mashing through right now is pretty silly. So what's happening is this woman is giving Gertie down the road, being like, hey, you were supposed to deliver something for us. We paid you all this money to deliver it, and you just straight up didn't deliver it. And he's like trying to talk his way out of it and just be like, well, you're right, I didn't, but you should just, not be mad about it.
Pretty much.
Oh, you charlatan. And then then you happen to wander up and he's like, oh, here's a complete stranger that I've bumped into like once maybe. Can I borrow 1,000 gil and never give it back?
It's a friendly 1,000 gil. So I do want to mention Meteor Parasite. We didn't get a chance to talk about it in Mana Claw's part. But on Meteor Parasite, the third phase, it's a little bit different from the original versus the remastered. Remastered, we like to say it's a little bit nerfed. I like to say that the original is more BS than the remaster. If you saw some parts, the Meteor Parasite likes to shoot out little lasers from his little main body. Sometimes the lasers can hit you twice. There are random ground explosions in the original version. Overall,
I'm going to interrupt you right here. I'm sorry about that. Mana is moving into the memory quiz section. Right now, he's meeting a mysterious character named Mio, who is going to be asking him questions about his adventure that he's going to have to answer. Luckily, this year, every runner gets to answer the questions in their native language instead of having to answer questions based upon remembering what the characters look like for the answer you need.
There is one little fight before the quiz part, though.
It's a very small fight.
Small, except you're a Lilti. So the Lilti fight for this part can go either really poorly or decent. No in between. I think. I don't think it can ever go well, in my opinion. The Selkies have an easier job once Sydney gets there. We'll point it out where you can just click defend, just kind of win. But Mana Claw, because you jump in there and then you can't really stun them, unlike the Selkie attacks, you usually have to get hit right there. He might eat a meat. He might have to take a death. We will see what happens. Oh, what I was pointing out earlier with the bad hitbox on the focus attack, you need to get the good hitbox here. You need to get 2 of the good hitboxes in order to kill them in 2 hits. If you don't, they, as you can see there again,
okay. Yeah. If I can direct your attention up to a very Sydney stream of Team Tonberry. Has actually come to Mount Kalanda, the only runner that has come over to this one dungeon. It is a very quick dungeon and has a good artifact, but it does cost 500 gil to get into this dungeon. The other runners have avoided it because both of them have been trying to not farm as much. And unfortunately, actually, Tonby was trying to farm as much. He just had very bad luck. But yeah, Sydney's running this dungeon here because it is one of the fastest ones you can do.
You do want to hit that goblin there. When you hit the goblin at the end, you have to throw a water pot into like a little thing just to be able to raise the way to the final boss. However, if you see right here, he just kind of brings it up for you.
Yeah, the goblin who's like the little lackey of the boss you're about to see raises up the bridge for you. He was trying to carry and deliver this sword to the boss, but you
just kind of hit
his hands. Yeah.
So Mana Claw is doing the memory quiz. Feel free to play along in chat if you want. Smiley face.
Which caravan was the first?
Yeah, so just to give a little bit of a perspective here, because I was curious, this is actually, I mean, again, nothing against any of the runners, because Tonby's had some maybe the worst RNG I've ever seen in a run of this game. But Mana's run is actually really good. He's only a couple minutes behind the pace of his PB in this category, which currently is the world record. We're like roughly 2 minutes behind it, I think.
Sydney is actually doing well as well.
Yeah, Sydney's run is actually going really well. Yeah, I said earlier, I think he'll be the fastest because I think Sydney will be able to hit the 65 strength, which makes the final boss a lot quicker.
There's always the question of the art of Masumune, though.
Tommy taking a little bit slower on Meteor Parasite 2, due to having less strength playing as a Clavid as well. He's entering Meteor Parasite 3. There's 2 tentacles there. You want to get rid of those tentacles since they do a lot of damage to you, and then just focus on the Meteor Parasite whenever you can.
Yeah, the end of the game stage, like the area that Mana Claw is in right now, where you meet this character Mio, who's the little girl of just pure light or whatever.
Queen of Reflection is her title, I think.
Queen of Reflection, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, Queen of Reflection. Reflection ties into the whole theme of memories, looking back on your past and all that. And it's like that classic point in RPGs where, you're going along through the game, beating bad guys, leveling up, learning the story. You're like, this is pretty cool. And then you get to the end of the game and it's just like, and now nothing makes sense. And it's going to continue to just not make sense and come out of nowhere and be continuously like increasingly disjointed bits of information that you didn't know. And now here's this final boss that you didn't know existed until you fought it.
You kind of learn more about it when you finish all the different cutscenes. There's the 2 cutscenes, the Gertie one and the Black Knight one. When you finish all those cutscenes, you tend to learn a little bit more about it.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. But because we're speedrunning, we don't actually get to see all of them. I think we only see like 2 or 3 of each.
Right. You do learn. I'll go ahead and do a little bit of lore here. As it's kind of slow and we'd just be repeating some of the stuff we've already said. So it turns out the Hurdy, which is Gertie's brother, and Leon, who is the Black Knight, tried to stop the Meteor Parasite and the final bosses before you. And they've lost their memories and are basically, the Black Knight's wandering, trying to find his memories. Hurdy is taking care of Gertie. And you find out later that during the final boss dialogue that they've come before you, but they failed. And now you're trying to succeed where they have failed. So that's kind of the story behind them.
And that's part of why Mio, the Queen of Reflection, gives you this memory quiz, because at first she's like, no, you shouldn't have come here. This is dangerous. You're not supposed to be here.
Unless.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, but wait, I sense maybe you just might have what it takes. Can you prove it by answering these 5 questions?
So, if you do play this game, I hope you are paying attention through the story. Complete it in one sitting, maybe speedrun it.
Well, actually, it turns out ultimately it actually doesn't even matter if you get the questions right. You just have to make up for it by defeating enemies.
Yes. So when you do get a question wrong, Ryan's minions that you saw earlier, the ones that Mana Claw had to fight already, those show up, and then you have to fight them in order to move on. You don't need to get all 5 questions right, but there are only 5 questions. So you can mess up all 5. I don't think I've ever seen what happens when you mess up all 5.
Yeah, I've never tried.
Well,
I don't know
the minions get harder and harder and harder the deeper into the questions you get, to eventually where the giant green ones are spawning, and those just take so many hits to kill.
Does Mio say anything? Because I know, like, at the end when you get all 5 right, Mio's like, man, your memories are so bright, and then you just miss all of them.
Yeah, what would she? I don't know.
I'm not
Is
sure.
she just like, well, here goes nothing, I guess. We'll try this.
All right, so we're closing to allegedly the final boss. This is the one who's kind of ruining everything. Kind of brought you into the nest of memories before you could kill the Meteor Parasite to rid the world of miasma. So this is allegedly the final boss. There is a really funny strategy you're going to see here. I'll let it explain itself in a bit, and then we should go into it.
I just remembered, or not remembered, it was brought to my attention a minute ago. I said how this run that Mana Claw has going is pretty good. He's only a couple minutes behind. What I was forgetting, and when I said that, is that his PB on the leaderboard was actually on PS5, right? So it has the fastest load times of all the different consoles. And right now he's playing, I'm pretty sure, on Switch, just to keep it fair for the sake of the relay. So I think, if you take out the load times, his current run would actually be, quote unquote, world record pace. But, load times notwithstanding.
So there's 2 strats you can see here with Ryan. The one of them here is the focus attack strat. You just run back, focus attack, he throws his arms at you. You don't get hit. There is another one. I don't know if Tombi will do it, but if Tombi doesn't do it, Sydney should do it, so we will get there. But it involves 3-hit attack instead of focus attack.
Gandhi getting ready to start his memory quiz, or soon after the small encounter with the Ryam's minions, and Sydney is working on getting her mystery element.
Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, Mog does get tired. There is a mechanic with Mog's fur. You can actually, there are little mini games where you can paint Mog's fur. You can paint it several colors. You can also cut it, and no, you can just cut it. When you cut the hair, it actually. So the different dungeons have different temperatures. Linari Desert, for example, is a hot dungeon. Because we've played the game so long without cutting Mog's hair has grown. So, when you put more clothes on, you get hotter during the summer. Because when it's hot, you put more clothes on, you get hot. That actually decreases Mog's stamina, or it makes him burn through it faster, one or the other. So, in this dungeon, you're going to have to pick up the chalice a lot more, as opposed to usual. For example, I think Celebration Cave is a cold dungeon, so you don't need to pick up the chalice as much as you do in Linari Desert.
Alright, so pretty smooth ROM kill for Mana Claw,
Yep.
and so now all that stands between him and victory is one final boss.
No, this is it, I swear, right? This has to be. No, what's he doing? Alright.
Yeah, everything in the game has gotten disjointed and weird, but it
Tombi
hasn't
has
gotten
had a-
quite disjointed and weird enough.
Tombi had a really good fight against the minions, so that's really good. he was able to kill them both in a single focus attack. Well, not one focus attack, but he killed them both at the same time. Real impressive. Good job, Tompi.
Yeah, so those fights are a lot easier on Clavet and Selkie. As opposed to Lilty, you saw Mana take like, what, 2
It's
feet?
really, really easy on Uke. Like,
Can you
easy.
freeze them or something?
Yes, they get
Okay.
they get paralyzed or frozen, and so you dodge the first hit, and then you CC them, and then you kill them.
That's really funny.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's really easy. And actually, for the Ryam fight, the Uke strategy is you take 2 steps forward, spam Blizzaga or Thundaga, win.
That's good. Alright, so City's just leaving Lightari Desert, heading to Violustos 2 again to refill the river so she can go back and beat the Meteor Parasite.
So quickly, while we have a little bit of time left before Mana Claw starts this final boss fight, Mimiroa, I want to just explain generally what we're hoping for here. So the way that this final boss fight works is that there's 2 different like forms or states that the boss can be in. Essentially, it starts out and it's got more or less, for lack of better words, a head and a tail. And at first, all you can hit is the tail because the head is up in the air. Once you do enough damage to the tail, it gets temporarily destroyed or weakened or whatever, and so the head drops down lower to be at ground level with you, and that's when you can actually get damage in on the head. So what we really want to see here, what we're hoping for, is what we call a 2-cycle, meaning Mana only has to destroy the tail and have it drop down 2 times in order to get in all the head damage that he needs. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and we'll hope that it happens.
With Mana's current strength, we're gonna hope for a 2-cycle, and hope that he does not shoot those lasers. Yep, that's unfortunate.
The Memorawa does have a move there where he fires a laser. On the Selkie, you can just defend it. We mentioned... Oh, there's another one. The Selkie defend does have invincibility frames. As everyone else, you have to run out of the way. There's a very tight audio cue that you can use. But it is still very scary.
Yeah, it's very tight. Like, if you hear the noise start up and you're already in the middle of an attack animation, it's going to hit you.
Yeah, you have to do
You have to anticipate it. Yeah, you have to, like, delay your attack a second to make sure that's not the attack that the boss is going to start. And then once you confirm, okay, it's not lasering, then you can go on with your attack. If you're just attacking and it does a laser, you're going to die. Pretty much. I mean, you can dodge it, but it's, like, super, super tight.
Awesome. He's moving into Phase B, where he can actually start dealing damage.
Yeah. So this is the only damage that actually hits the boss per se. Otherwise, you're just doing damage to the tail. If you get hit by a laser here, it is a 1-hit kill, and he might go back to his first phase where you have to hit the tail again. As Clavet and Lilty, it's a little bit easier since you can just run out of the way. Since you're usually not going to be able to one-cycle the boss. You can one-cycle the boss. As Selkie, however, through very strict timing and you have to defend the lasers. And it's a little scary, but it is faster overall. That's one of the main differences between Lilty, Clavet, and Selkie. I mean,
That was a good phase there for Mana, though. Got lots of damage in. So long as the second phase, cycle works well for him, he should 2-cycle it.
And just to reiterate, I explained this a while ago, but now that it's on screen, on Mana's Claw screen, you see that little bubble with a Lilty hopping around in it. That's where the boss, like, pulls your memories out of you or whatever. And then if you actually cast magic on the bubbles there,
it has to be true.
They turn into Magicite, which you can then pick up to sometimes do, like, super special things against this boss. But we just don't bother with the chance of getting the magic we need and all that. In the speedrun, we just whack them with our weapon a bunch.
Yep. So there was a very good laser dodge there. You saw how far he had to be, how the distance he had to be. That's how early you have to start walking to get there, just to not get hit by the laser.
Yeah, it's extremely, like, it is of utmost importance that you do not get hit when he's in this phase where he's down like this, because if you die while he's down here, the tail instantly grows back, and you essentially just lose a cycle, more or less.
I think
Yep.
if you get hit by like the first one, it's a chance. I've had it happen where like I got hit by the first laser and he didn't go up. I've had it where I got hit by the second and he just goes straight up. So it's
Yep.
I feel like the later you go, if it's not the first one, he'll go straight up. But maybe if it's the first one, you don't want to get hit anyways.
Oh, that's unfortunate. The boss probably has just a few hits left, but we'll have to go into a third cycle to take him out. Had Mana been able to get that one artifact at the very end, been a +3 instead of a +2, that would have taken him up a damage tick, and he would have already finished the final boss by this point.
Yep.
So something about Memoroa in the original version, he has one move where he slams the fist down. That move it feels completely random whether it hits or not. It really does. You stand right in the middle, and sometimes it hits you, and other times it doesn't. You could be standing in the same spot and be attacking, and it'll hit you. And if you're not attacking, maybe it doesn't hit you. The left one can hit and the right one can't. The right one can hit, and sometimes the right
Here we
one.
go.
Yeah, let's see how many
One
hits.
hit.
He had one more hit. He had one more hit.
Oh, that's super unfortunate. But that is that's pretty much the end of the run. He's got two more things he's got to do. Before you actually beat the.
We have time in about 3 minutes for Mana. So, Team Chocobo, if you want to start getting ready with the next game.
Yeah, and I just
That
want to
would be a
say,
good time.
since we are officially out of the danger zone for Mana, congrats on an awesome run for the relay.
Oh yeah, this
That
has
was
been an amazing run for him.
very good run. All right, so now we're closing in on Tombi's fight with Ryam.
Yeah, it should look a little bit different with the Clavet.
I assume it will be 3 hits on this one because the Clavet Master Weapon focus attack is a projectile. Let's see. Yep. So this is the other strat you can do. You run back, you run forth, you hit them. The things don't see you, you don't get hit. It's a very funny strat.
Now, I want to note one big difference coming up in Menace here in just a moment. In the original version, what Menace going to have to do in just a moment is he will get teleported back to the Meteor Parasite, and he'll land one more hit on it. And in the original version, that would be time. However, because there's a post-game to the remaster, you're able to select an artifact, and you have to press A one more time when the artifact screen pops up in order to get the credits to come. So it's a little longer.
So Sydney's in Violus Loose 2, finishing everything up. After this is the Golem fight, and then straight to Mount Valanche.
I'm going to leave this in your two's trustworthy hands for a minute. I got a cat on my keyboard kind of problem. I'll be right back.
So time coming up for Mana Claw very, very soon.
Yeah, I'll make sure to call it.
All right, good.
Gonna be just a few seconds.
Yep. After this is the artifact selection. After you see all the
Oh
streamers.
no, Tombi aggroed the minion.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It doesn't see you again. He does have to put on another Phoenix down. He's got 3 left, including this one. That's really scary for the final boss.
We'll go ahead.
All right, and that's time for Mana Claw. GG. Congratulations on a very good run. Oh no.
All right, let's go.
Tombi is kind of struggling here with Memoroa, with just Ryam. He's got 7 meats and 1 Phoenix down, 1 or 2 left.
Oh, that auto targeting is messing him up.
It'll be a really hard toss up to see if he can finish Memoroa, honestly.
You might want to start using the focus attack.
Well, he can't, because that one's a projectile.
Oh yeah.
Because he'll
True.
just throw his arms out. Unless he wants to switch back to Warrior's weapon. And just take it even slower from there. I think he just has to adjust and just walk. Oh, that's a one-hit kill. I don't think he crafted armor. I think that's the problem.
Fear not, I have returned.
It's
And he made it through. Good,
okay.
good,
He
good.
made it through. Okay,
Now he's gonna have to be very cautious with Mimiroa.
very careful. If he dies in any way, he's gonna have to game over. And fortunately, you start from the Memoroa fight again, but you don't start with any of your Phoenix Downs or meats or anything. Okay, so Cindy's coming up on a split for the Golem fight.
If the next game wants to go ahead and do a quick introduction, we have a few seconds right here in between.
Do a quick introduction. Hello, I'm one of the World of Final Fantasy commentators. My name is Dave Bobbington III. Kawhi.
Oh, nice. Nice to meet you, Dave Bobbington III.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm Kawhi.
Hello, Dave.
And as you can see, Rhoda Moda just started his run 2 minutes ago. And he's going through the tutorial bits of the game for now.
And I'm another World of Final Fantasy commentator, WoDB.
Alright, so Tombi's now entering into Memoroa once again. If he gets hit in any way, it's going to be game over for him. I don't think he has the armor to be able to live any of the hits. So we'll see how he plays this fight out. But once he gets past this, it is close to the end for him.
He's gonna need our energy.
Yeah. Please. Optimally, I think we'll see 0 lasers here. So when you die in a Memoroa fight, what happens is you can either restart from Memoroa or you go to your last save point, which is. Did we take an auto? I don't think we took a safety save. Did we take a safety save?
The remaster auto saves.
Yeah, but the auto save is on, I think, Memory Quiz actually. So if he wanted to, he could do Memory Quiz all over again, which, not. I don't think that's really you want to do unless he's taken so many game overs.
Yeah,
it's
so
a very far save point.
He can do it. He's just going to have to be very cautious and
okay, there's first face down.
Try and predict the lasers coming down.
Okay, so this part should be okay for him. He's playing it extra safe here, it looks like.
So I was just away. How many Phoenix down does Tombi have?
0.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really scary for him right now. He's playing it super safe. I think Clava can actually do a very similar fight to Lil T. He can walk out, focus attack, but I can see he's like not attacking, especially here. Sometimes when you attack, the white laser can hit you for no reason. For example, in the Selkie fight, on the white lasers, if you start charging your focus attack before he does the white laser, you can get hit by it. If you start charging your focus attack after the white laser, you don't get hit by it.
I don't know about you guys, but I am so nervous for him right now.
I am sweating.
I mean, this is a clinch I'm all too familiar with in my practicing. Like, this boss is just
He
intense.
dodged that laser though.
He's
It's
actually
scary.
going to not get too many dangerous attacks.
It's scary, but it's extra scary with 0 Phoenix Downs. Just because you know, like, when you game over, you have to do the fight all over again. And it's hard with 60 strength, too. Just because, I think Mana had a 3 cycle.
Here,
You gotta
if he
do
gets
this.
good luck.
Yeah. You gotta do this at least 2 times. And if you get hit by any single one of them, you have to start the entire fight over again.
Because of the way the white lasers and him being extra cautious, he's going to 3 cycle this fight probably.
Most likely. White lasers are better than black lasers. It's a little bit faster. But just due to the safety, I'm pretty sure it's going to have to be 3 cycle. Hopefully no more than 3 though.
Yeah. Sydney on her way to meet Jeff here in a minute.
Everyone say hi to Jeffrey. Soon.
Yeah, not this stream, but the next one.
The next one.
What's the name of that? The other area that where they live? Those where the car is that what they're called?
Magmel.
Magmel. Yeah,
Magmel,
you're right.
yeah. We don't go there.
Yeah, that's one of the other, not dungeons, but it's like a little town, village, I guess. And only the carbuncles, that's what Jeff is. That's the only things that live there. They also give more story, but you have to, like, visit them often.
Yeah.
Because they're, like, sleeping there or something, so you kind of wake them up. Every fist that comes down for Tombi, my heart skips a beat.
Dude,
Yeah, if any of those hit him, he will die.
Don't speak that into the world.
Okay, cool.
I think he's going to be able to phase it here. Yeah. He should be okay if he can keep his focus.
Die.
4, 5.
Die.
We're all over here being quiet, like hoping that that'll help him.
Yeah,
Hey, he made it through.
let's go!
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Oh.
Tombi's time is coming up in about 3 minutes, so if Team Moogle wants to get ready, now is a good time to kind of brace yourself and get ready to start.
Yeah, that was actually seriously impressive. Like
That was.
I can't do
Yeah,
that.
no,
I can't
like
do that without.
we can't reemphasize enough. We were all just over here like, oh god, oh god, oh god.
Yeah, if we're
not
sweating,
good.
I can only imagine how much Tombi is sweating right now.
That is a great example of what you do not want to find yourself in a marathon or a relay.
Like you saw how many lasers I got hit by, right? Tombi was able to
Yeah.
dodge every single one, and he had
Yeah.
to, or he would have been
Amazing.
screwed. So
Yeah.
Right.
So great
Incredible.
fight from Tombi. I know he's been
and
putting
he
a lot
didn't
of
even
work
use
in.
any pausing either, because you can kind of open the menu to pause
Yeah.
the game and collect yourself, collect your thoughts, and kind of
Here
react.
comes Jeff.
But he just didn't even bother.
Everyone say hey to Jeff.
As soon as it loads. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Jeffrey.
All right.
Why are you running away? I just want to be friends.
All right. So
All right. After time, World of Final Fantasy will have a lot to be able to talk about. We won't have much to say until Sydney's Mount Valinge RNG, and then we won't have a whole lot to say past that until she gets closer to the end.
All right. Well, we didn't want to like interrupt you because it seemed like a very tense ending.
It was. Thank you.
Very tense.
Right here we have time. It's going to be coming up in just a second. He's going to hit the Meteor Parasite, do the final cutscene, and then when he selects his final artifact will be time. About 20 seconds if y'all want to say something.
that's a little longer than 20.
Well, for those of you who don't know the game World of Final Fantasy, in this game you will see a lot of familiar faces from the previous Final Fantasies, both like characters and also little creatures like chocobos, the Tomberries. They're all back, and in this game you're gonna catch them and make them fight for you, pretty much.
Yeah.
Final
It's like-
Fantasy meets Pokemon.
Yes. It's Pokemon if it was also Final Fantasy nostalgia.
That too.
Pokemon were better.
Time.
All right.
Time for Tombi. Sorry. There.
There
Sorry.
we go. GG Tombi.
Yep.
Yeah, just want to say, GG, I've never felt more tense over a run I had absolutely no idea what was going on over.
I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Very Sydney, she had no luck with the +5s, but she's gonna muscle on anyways. And also, it seems all three of our runners, that first chest was empty, which is very odd to get, but we somehow had that.
All right.
Never doubt RNG giving you a good show when you're doing a live event.
Right.
All right. So Sydney's gonna pick up the rest of the strength artifacts. I think everyone else also picked these up to hit at least 60 strength. I didn't get a chance to see how much Sydney was at. Oh, I missed it again. So, World of Final Fantasy.
Right. So as I mentioned before, you're gonna like capture these creatures, right? But the unique thing in this game is that you can actually make them stack on top of each other. So you can have like 3 different creatures just sitting on top of each other and working together. And if you have multiple creatures, they also combine their stats. So we kind of want like a maximum amount of things. They are called mirages in this game to fight for us. So in this first dungeon that Rhoda is in, he has to capture 2 of them. And whether they show up or not is RNG, so hopefully he doesn't get unlucky today.
Yes, welcome to the joy of World of Final Fantasy running. It is, unfortunately, once you have a decent time, a little bit reset heavy at the beginning, because not only do we need 2 mirages from this, the Nebula Nether, I believe it's called. One of the encounters we need, one of the mirages we need, is from a rare encounter.
Yeah, it's the floating eye. It only appears in one specific encounter.
Yeah, and crazy part is the floating eye encounter also includes the iron gnome, or just the gnome, or
the
golem,
copper gnome, yeah.
name.
Oh, there's the copper gnome, so that's a good thing for him.
Copper gnome, that's what it was. I was like, my brain always forgets the name of it.
So,
Yeah.
the way you catch things in this game, everyone will have a prism tunity. And that is an opportunity to imprison them. Luckily, the way you get Copper Gnome is by attacking it, and once you reduce its health, you can capture it. The Floating Eye encounter, you need to kill everything else in the encounter, and then the Floating Eye can only be the only enemy remaining, and then you can throw your proverbial Pokeball at it.
Yeah, and throughout the game, you won't see it as much here because we don't capture that many mirages. We capture most of them in the beginning of the run, and then from there it's all execution heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you play this game casually, you'll find that a lot of mirages are going to have other requirements that aren't just like hit them. It might be like use their weakness, use their element of their own type, or throw an item at them, which you actually get a glimpse of that later. Another mechanic in this game are these puzzle switches you'll see kind of throughout that require certain stacks of these, I would call Pokemon mirages, to trigger the switches to progress.
Yeah. I'm also just going to take this time. Crystal Chronicle, guys, if you need to take over to like commentate on something real quick, just holler at us.
I think most of the fight for Meteor Parasite is going to be very similar here. You might see a couple strats that are a little bit different, but nothing that's not self-explanatory. The focus attack here is different since you jump in and hit them twice.
Okay.
But you can
so
see
Rhoda actually got his floating eye here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's really nice.
It's
Because it's the one that you want.
Yeah,
This
fight RNG in the favor.
Yeah, this fight can be a bit trolly. The Floating Eye's first attack will confuse one of the characters. And if you're unlucky enough, it can confuse again when Floating Eye is the only one remaining. And what I've had is, considering this is a rare encounter, the second confuse attack hits Lan. Lan hits the Floating Eye, crits and kills it. And probably not a worse feeling in WoW speedrunning, unfortunately.
It'll make you indeed very sad.
It is tragic. Did Woody perhaps want to explain why the runners have been opening the map sporadically? Open and closing it very quickly.
Yeah, of course. You're actually going to see a lot of this at different points. So you'll notice the runners will open the menu here and there. The reason we do that is if you notice those dialogue boxes in the bottom left corner where the characters are talking on the overworld, opening the map will actually force progression of those conversations, because this game does make you listen to some of these conversations in their entirety, or like you have to get through them entirely before it'll let you move on. So you'll notice that there are points where the characters may literally stop moving and they're just waiting for this dialogue to finish. You'll see it actually on Hab's screen here at some point, where he has to basically wait for it to finish, and then it will progress on from there. So we open the menu, close it really quick to force that progression.
Yes, it's a wonderful little trick that I don't believe we know about. We knew about until Kawhi watched a JP runners run.
Yes, I saw him just randomly open the map, and he actually commentated the entire run, so it was in his notes that it would skip voice lines, and it seemed a lot faster, so we just took the same strategy.
Which is great, because there is a part where we have to open it 20 times to progress a scene.
Yes, so this game has one break, and it is what Top Left Team Mog is currently going through. There is a big ol' anime cutscene at the beginning of the run, and it's 4 minutes long, I think, 4 or 5 minutes long. It's the It's the only break in the run. We used to have the minute and a half when traveling, but because we can now skip dialogue lines quicker, you, as Woody just said, you open and close your menu 20 times to say 40 seconds. So this is now officially the only break we have.
Yeah, and fun fact, though you can't do this, for people who bought this on PS4 and before a patch was released, you actually could skip this anime cutscene in prior versions, but a patch came out that actually made it unskippable later on, which is required if you run it on PS4 to be on the latest patch.
It's actually a good thing that they made it unskippable. I like the cutscene. I want my little break.
I quite like having my break, but when the break is like 4 minutes into the run, it's kind of pointless, you know?
It's still a mental thing. Like, yeah, this is your last chance to take your time.
Yeah, that's called before the run, normally. You got all the time in the world before then.
Chris, you don't use the power of anime to invigorate your run, like Shonen heroes?
I did most of my practicing for the relay offline, and I ran muted. I don't run games with audio offline. It sounds, especially when they're this. You will see during the relay that the runners will be using English voices, so we apologize in advance for any hurting of your ears that Tama does.
Oh, Tama's fine.
Tama is the reason why I run with Japanese voices. Normally I run with English. I'm not particularly bothered by dubs, but oh boy. Her voice is really the annoying, as the kids would say.
Tama is a big reason why you should run Japanese in this game.
So we see Rhoda is here in this like goblin encampment area, or just encampment area in general. Basically what's going on here is just moving on with the story, but this is where we find our second mirage that we're going to look to capture, the Black Knack, which is going to be very important for movement tech, you could say, later in the run. So they are now looking for an encounter with a Black Knack, which could come in a few forms. There's the 3 encounter version, and then there's one where it could just appear as a solo amongst other enemies.
Right.
Another thing like this game has, most Final Fantasy games, as you know, have danger values. There is no like step ID in this game, but there is, as you run this game, you will find that you will notice you get the same encounters predominantly in the same place as you progress from map to map. Now, if you zone out, it does reset the danger value. So you could, when you leave a map, it goes back to 0 at least, so that does help if you get through the map. But you get an idea of like how many encounters you're going to get forced into when you reach the like splits or the boss battles of the area to kind of gauge how many extra encounters you may need to farm.
Yeah, and I will specify that the encounters are not the same. It's just when they happen tends to be roughly the same. I used to believe that it was 100% consistent. The encounters would always happen at the same time, and your movement determined when they were going to happen. But then I realized the better I got at movement, that wasn't the case. In Nether Nebula, there is a chest you can get fairly early on to get the item to get past the Gimme Golem. And whether or not you get an encounter before or after the chest, unfortunately, doesn't matter on your movement, as I falsely believed and was proud of for a while. I'm like, God, I never get encounters until afterwards. This must mean my movement is really good. No, I just got lucky with where the encounter ended up most of the time. So...
Yeah, it's like somewhat consistent, but not entirely consistent. You give it like a few steps leeway, I guess.
Yeah.
Notice that with the Nether Nebula, there are times where like before you get to the puzzle, the zone with the puzzle, I've had like an encounter like right before, and then I've had times where there's no encounter before, and I zone without it.
Well, this might be the first instance where someone has to farm encounters. Let's see.
Yeah.
Potentially,
Yep.
yeah. And so
There's no black neck here. He
so
already
yeah.
reached the end of the path, so he needs to like keep walking around the circles.
Yep, so this
Team
would be
Chocolate,
actually
it is.
a time for Team Mog to potentially catch up, depending on... Well, I guess Mog's got a farm of Floating Eye, so maybe not. They both might be farming for a little bit here.
So this is the feels bad bit of World of Final Fantasy sometimes getting a run going. Once you have a very, very top time, you do need all of the encounters in a reasonable amount of time. And if they don't show, they don't show. And because of the way this game works, you essentially need multiple mirages for abilities to get through areas. I'm not saying that it's basically HMs from Pokemon, but it's HMs from Pokemon. So they are just mandatory. There is no real way around it. If you don't find the encounter, you've got to run around in circles until you do.
Well, the good news is that Harp has found his Copper Gnome. So that's the first of all the mirages that he needs to find.
Very nice. One thing we didn't touch on is save points. So saving in the speedrun takes a couple seconds, so as you do the run, you'll know which battles pose the biggest risk of RNG danger. So saving won't hurt the run too much, but one thing we will do, and you'll see here, is we'll touch the save point because it actually full heals you. So a lot of times, like, you'll need to touch it just to make sure you're healed, at least early on. Later on, we'll get Flee and like higher agility, so you'll find that your characters are going first before the enemy anyway when you get random encounters, and you'll flee instantaneously. So the damage you'll take from trying to flee won't be as much at that point.
Yeah, you will see later on as well that Black Choco Chick is possibly faster than Usain Bolt. That boy is so fast. He is magical. You get to see the true strength of his speed.
And speaking
once
of
he's
speed,
unstacked.
Chris, in chat, somebody's asking about the explanation of the Cry 3 method or Chris 3 method.
The Crest method, yes.
Yes, should we explain this piece of tech we apparently didn't realize for years?
So, World of Final Fantasy doesn't have many runners. For some people, the game during battles, escapes, anything that involves fast forwarding, that would go considerably faster for some people over others. And for years, we just didn't know what caused it. I tried Googling it. A few of us had tried brainstorming ideas. Just couldn't find out how it worked, unfortunately. A few months ago, I decided, okay, I'm going to try and get to the bottom of this and figure out what is causing it to go faster. I had a chat with Sereth and a few other people, and Sereth's idea was it looks like 2 speed-ups are playing at once. So we were toying around with the idea of quitting out whilst using hold down to speed up and then changing it to toggle speed up and then hoping that it was 2. But that didn't work. And it turns out what it is, after 3 to 4 years of not knowing what was causing this fast patch, you press R3. Press R3 at any given time.
R3.
During the run. I will just say, Harb had a terrifying fight.
Yeah, I was also looking at it.
Oh boy!
Oh yeah.
I caught that out of the corner of my eye, and one of them got confused whilst the other character was dead and 54 HP. Luckily, survived. Like, all it took was an attack to crit themselves, and we were in all kinds of trouble there. But luckily, Harb does get the floating eye, so nobody needs to run around in circles for it. Unfortunately, we're still seeing Rota trying to grind for Black Knack. The little wolf doesn't want to show up today.
Yeah, and this is WAF speedrun sometimes in a nutshell. And this is where, for like marathon settings, this can definitely, or race settings, because short enough run races are pretty popular. That can really turn the tide when you have to farm a bunch of encounters.
Mm-hmm. One thing we haven't talked about is the battle that Harp is doing right now. He's fighting against Ramu, but you can actually choose which of the summons that you fight. You can choose between Shiva, Ramu, and Ifrit. And basically the main reason why we choose Ramu is because we have the Channel Earth attack, which he is weak to. And I think Ifrit is also weak to Earth, but he just has more HP and defense. So if you have to choose between those two, then Ramu is just the one that's easier to kill.
Yes. And, sorry, I did interrupt myself talking about it for a bit. So what's happening with the double fast-forward thing is, it is 2 fast-forwards playing at once. So if you hold down R1 or toggle R1, I think almost all the runners hold it down, the game will run faster. R3 is another speed-up that stacks on your normal one, so they both run at the same speed normally. It's not explained in the game. It's never mentioned in tutorials. It's not mentioned in like controls or anything. I think it might be like a dev tool that was just accidentally left in the game. I don't I don't see what else it's there, or like short of being some bug or something. And yeah, so also because I found out, I think Wodi's chat came up jokingly with calling it the Crest method, so CHR3S. But the official name for it is the faster forward. I just want to point that out pretty clearly.
Yes.
Very much.
That was a joke made by my community.
Yes, very much memeing.
I gotta say, Team Mog might be able to, depending on
catch up.
Their luck with the Black Knack capture there, they might be able to catch up. This is some impressive RNG luck happening here.
Yeah, they're about to enter the same area in a little bit.
Well, I mean, hashtag team close race, am I right, boys?
Yep.
For sure. And you might think, well, is it even worth it to like wait this long for Black Knack? The short answer is yes.
Yes.
Because we need it. And it makes us walk faster as well, and avoid a lot of encounters later on.
Yeah, because we're going to take advantage of, and we can always touch on this again when they get to it, but we're essentially going to transfig. So the Mirages, just like, evolving Pokemon, can be evolved into different forms. And one of the forms that the Black Knack can take on is a Fenrir. And the Fenrir has an ability called Joyride, which will allow us to ride the creature and move faster. And so this allows us to progress much quicker versus running on foot.
Okay.
And plays a very catchy jingle when you do it.
Yeah, each Joyride actually has its own unique music, I think. So.
Oh, I'm only used to Fenrir's. I haven't played this game casually in forever.
Oh. You should use the Mecha Chocobo. It's lightning fast.
Unfortunately, Rhoda is still looking for the Black Wolf. It is
Yeah, it's kind of a tragedy. There's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, it shows up in 2 different encounters, I believe. There's a formation where there's 2 of them, and there's a formation when there's 3 of them, and it's...
I think there's another one where I've seen it on... I've got an encounter where it's on top of one of the, like, goblin warriors, and I've had to, like, knock it off of them.
Oh, I haven't seen that one personally. I know the one where there's, like, 1 solo black neck. Oh, there they are. 3 of them.
Hey!
There they are, finally. Okay, so Choco does get to stay in the lead, thank God.
Oh, man, but look, the double smash hit 1 twice.
Yeah, so what you want to happen there, double smash is an attack where basically 2 attacks go off random, and you want them to both hit 2 different knacks separately. And that way they go down to like almost dead, but not entirely, and then you can catch them immediately. The bad scenario is they both hit the same character, and it dies, and then you have to unstack and then hit them.
Oh, and Harp got his black neck really quickly.
Oh, I've got his neck already. All right, well, I mean that's
even at the end of the area, and he already has it, so it's really nice.
Yeah, we may see some potential catch up depending on how the cockatrice wants to be today.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the first split incoming, I think.
Yep, this is the first split, Big Goblin. There's a lot to say about this boss. You basically kill it down. We're going to get to see just how overpowered items are in this run, and boy are they. Just wait for him to throw the Earth Hammer and you can see how much damage it does. We also need to kill off Lan, so Rain gets all of the experience.
Yeah, Chris, you want to touch on how experience is deviated up in this so I can make sure I split on time?
Go on, Kawhi. I'll let you take this one, buddy.
Well, basically everyone in the battle gets like the full amount of experience, and if like one stack dies, then the other stack gets like their experience, so they get like 100% of the experience. Everyone on the bench gets 8% experience, I think. I'm not entirely sure on that one, but they get like a small amount. But if they are low enough, then they will get like a boost. So if they're like 10 levels behind.
I'm sorry, I just want to cut in because this is our last chance to say this. If you watch on Team Tomberry, Sydney fighting Rom right here, this is like the more classic strategy here where you're just running in and out doing a triple attack each time. And it's almost kind of mesmerizing to watch. It's like one of those things where the boss is really hard casually, and then you look up, how do I beat this? And you're like, oh, it's completely trivial. Just kind of a funny thing to watch.
Yeah, Tomby used this strategy earlier, but unfortunately he pressed A1 bit too early and ended up auto-attacking the minion, and then it pulled the minion out of position, and then he was having to juggle that the whole time.
We are going to have to button one more time when the final boss, because there are some Selkie specific strats there that we are going to have to gloss over.
And in the bottom left, we just saw Rota capture the Black Choco Chick. Low-key one of the MVPs of this run. Super fast little boy. And also shows you the power of friendship in this game. The friends you made along the way in the journey there. You don't capture that one by attacking it or reducing its health or anything like that. You throw it potions and heal it. And then he wants to become your friend. You know, insert vague thing about smiley faces here.
I don't even think he's Loki the hero. He's like by far the hero.
Yeah.
He also has an ability that's called Unstacked Haste, which gives him haste whenever you unstack. And it makes him really, really fast, because he's already fast by default.
The powers of friendship and anime.
Yes.
The Team Mog had a dicey battle there.
Yeah, I was a bit worried there. Harb's stack started wobbling. That's what you can see when it starts shaking back and forth, and the ATB only just made sense. If Rain had missed Big Goblin, which can happen there, that would have been a bit of an F, as the kids say.
Yeah, wobbling's dangerous. So in this game, like when you get hit with certain abilities, you may find yourself like you're wobbling, and if you keep getting hit, you'll fall over, and it ends up stunning everybody in place, which is bad. There's a battle later on where that becomes a problem, as we've all experienced, and if the RNG plays the way it wants to, then yeah, but the RNG plays the way it wants to, and you get stunned and pretty much can't do anything about it unless you have wobble stoppers.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before the run as to whether runners are going to pick up wobble stoppers, and I believe we are. In any percent currently, the route we don't, but I think that's slowly changing over because there's a few battles later on where if you don't have any wobble stoppers, it's a little bit monk-ass, as the kids would say. Also,
definitely.
just
sorry, one quick thing, last thing I probably want to chime in here is this is our last chance to get a 2-cycle in the relay on this last boss, so hopefully that can happen. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I believe.
As Memorial descends, there's two very different strats. On the laser, because you have time to actually stop attacking and defend, you can do that to just backflip through the lasers. The first one with like the ground one, the one that Tombi and Manaclaw were struggling a little bit on. And then on the second phase, you also see a different strat. Instead of running back and forth, you can actually just sit right in the space and backflip through the black lasers. The white ones, you don't need to move, so you can also attack him through it. But as I said, you want to focus attack after he fires the lasers. Otherwise, the lasers will hit you. No? Okay, Sydney says they're flipping.
Yeah, one thing to point out. Sydney, due to RNG, like artifact RNG, nothing in her control, she is one tier of strength lower than ideally would hope. So technically the 2-cycle is possible, but you have to be like totally on point. So
that and get a lot of good luck from the boss because you can DPS better from white lasers. So if the boss drops a lot of white lasers, then it's just gonna help her out.
Sydney's got 9 Phoenix down. Should definitely be in a good spot for this fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the main reason I wanted to say like let's hope for a 2-cycle, simply because what's his name? Manaclaw, he was only like 1 hit away, but with the lesser strength it's more of an issue. And then Tombi had the whole I need to be super careful because I'm out of Phoenix down sort of thing. So was hoping this might be a good opportunity though with I didn't realize she'd had the worst artifact luck to have only 60 strength, even with Master's Weapon. So
they missed, I know they missed the Masamune. I guess they got +2 on all the other ones then.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that she just went on without Masamune. Yeah.
You can hit 65. There's a chest on the very left side that's super out of the way that you can get to hit 65. I don't think Sydney got that one, just because it's sometimes it's just not worth it. Because there's so much stuff, there's so much other things that to do.
It's only worth it if you're not going to be at 60.
Yes.
Fair enough.
But, and sometimes it might not even be worth it then, but...
yeah. And, well, it's also... well, I say also, but what I mean is separately. With Selkie, I think it's a little bit easier to just get more hits in safely during these cycles compared to Lil T, at least. And probably Clavet also.
Well, because your focus attack hits twice as with the Master's Weapon on Selkie, so that's already like 1 extra hit, as opposed to Clavet. There you can see the backflip that just goes right through the laser, but the Clavet only has like the 1 projectile, and then Lil T has the weird jump in thing. So there's the first phase. Third phase, something like that. Now,
this is the second cycle. Or is this 3? Yeah, I thought it was
phase B, second cycle.
Okay, sure. And hopefully we should be seeing the game end here, but it could be possible that we go to the 3rd cycle. However, the Selkie does get a bit of extra hits in.
There it is, a 2-cycle!
I don't want to. Okay, great. I was going to say, I don't want to set the wrong expectation, because this is, like, with 60 strength, it's difficult. So that's actually more impressive. Very well done, Sydney, to get the 2-cycle in. Bravo for that. Brava, actually.
If Sydney could have gotten very lucky and gotten the gotten 2 Masamunes, that would have pushed her over 70 strength, and she possibly could have tried for a 1-cycle at that point. But
all right, so time should be coming close. We'll call out time,
3
but if
minutes from now.
World of Final Fantasy, smiley face.
As they are about to enter the new area, the Icicle Ridge, this is the first time we actually go back to the beginning area, and it's to unlock the shop. That's where we get our OP items. Does any of you want to explain how the items work in this game?
I'll let Woody take that.
Oh, great.
Real quick, am I supposed? I do apologize. Are you asking me to hit time when you yell time? Or
sure, we can do that.
Oh,
well, I just sorry, I do apologize.
They'll be calling time when Tonbreak can go.
I'll click it since it's still Crystal Chronicles.
Right.
Yeah.
No worries. Just I do apologize if I misheard. All right. Talk about items. What did y'all, Kawhi?
Would you like to explain? Yeah, Kawhi, just explain it. Be the hero.
Okay, I'll do it. Well, we use a lot of offensive items in this game, and the items are not affected by stats at all. So not by attack, not by defense. The only thing they are affected by is elemental weaknesses or elemental resistances. And there are basically 3 different levels. You have the smallest items, which will do 750 damage. You have the medium items, which will do 1500 damage, and you have the big AoE damage items, which will do 3k to everything. So right now we can only buy the beginner items, so they do 750 each. For the majority of the run we'll use the lightning marbles, which will do 1500 damage to enemies, regardless of level that you are. So that's pretty nice.
It's also elemental weaknesses come into it as well, so we buy a bunch of lightning marbles throughout the run, which are obviously lightning affected, but when you throw that at an enemy who is weak to lightning, it doesn't do 1500 damage anymore, it does 2250.
Okay, time coming up here in just a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, and with the
here it comes.
As soon as the artifact is selected.
Time.
And it's time.
Brainbugged, go.
Well, for the Crystal Chronicles Remastered crew, this is Boss Hugger. I want to say thank you all so much for letting us come on and yap in your ear holes for a while. This was a whole lot of fun. This is an awesome event, and best of luck, everyone.
Best of luck to the rest of them.
Good games, everybody.
Thank you for your commentary.
Good luck.